All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Monday, July 27th, 2026. My name is Rob Carter. Welcome to the future. Number one podcast in America. What's going on, Isaiah?
Good morning, Vietnam.
We got a lot going on today.
Lots going on.
We got a lot going on today, and I'm wondering how many guests I want to have this week. I kind of kept this one open because it's the week before primaries, and I'm going to give my
I was
opinions.
wondering what you were thinking.
Yeah, I want to have my. I just want to walk through the issues. I want to make sure that people understand where we're coming from. Boy, it's getting dirty in Missouri politics. I'm watching Jake Jackson fight with Tim Jones and fight with Adam Schnelting. And if you don't know Missouri politics, these are two prominent people in Missouri politics. Tim Jones used to be the Speaker of the House. He now heads up the Freedom Caucus. It's a franchise operation, but Freedom Caucus out of D.C. with Jim Jordan. Tim Jones is the leader of it in Missouri, and Adam Schnelting, I guess, was tight with Jake Jackson at one time. And Jake Jackson, I'm sorry, my volume was down a little bit. Jake Jackson worked for Adam Schnelting, and now they're in a war of words on social media. And I just want to make it. Let's start there. Can we start there? Mm-hmm. I got a lot to get to. I just want to say that I think it's perfectly fine for these politicians to lash out, and I'll tell you why. I think it's good for people to see what's going on. If you are supportive of that type of rhetoric, Donald Trump did it. If you're supportive of that kind of rhetoric, then you get to see these people for what they are, good or bad. I'm not making a determination because Jake is Jake gets after these people, and they sometimes fight back, and they sometimes say nasty things, and they put it out onto social media. I think that's beautiful. I think Jake Jackson has created a service because he rubs them so raw and irritates them so much that when they come back at him, you get to see how people fight. That's the way I look at it. I said, I fight in relation to how people attack me. If they attack me, then I'll come back, maybe just a little bit. Just what Donald Trump said he did.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do, is hold them accountable once they are elected and they say that they're going to do something? And then if they don't do it, aren't we supposed to speak out?
That's the way I see it. That's my point of view. But I'm just saying, I love the fact that they're doing this. I like when they come out and they start calling people, expletives and diminish them on social media, because it gives you a sense of who these people are and what they fight for and what they're fighting about. I'm full of surprises. One time this morning, Rob. What's that mean? What's he getting at?
On time this morning.
Oh, yeah. Charlie's on time this morning. That's the guy we were talking about before the show started. Talking about just, when people come in into the show. He was 17 minutes late, and I haven't forgiven him. We're going to get over it at some point, but I don't know what you're doing for these 17 minutes.
He's on time today.
Starts no later than 9:10 every day. Let's go. Hustle up. Chop, chop. All right. So let's get through a little bit of what's going on in Missouri politics. We'll talk about the primaries. The title of the show is The Illusion of Primary Season. And let me just start here. If you are voting Democrat or Republican, this is my take on things, Isaiah. I just want to get this from Meatballs. You remember the show Meatballs with Bill Murray? Is that way before your time?
I remember it, but I didn't watch it.
There's a part where it's like two camps. One camp are the rich kids, and they've got all the girls and all the money. And this is the Meatballs is the poor camp where all the the lower middle class kids go, and it's summer camp. And then they have these games at the end of the movie where they're competing against one another. And then Bill Murray does a speech to pump everybody up before they go into this like Olympics type operation between the two camps. And this is the way I see the primary season at the federal level, maybe at the state level. I can't tell you, but the federal level, this is how I see it.
It just doesn't matter if we win or we lose. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter, Isaiah, because they're moving this thing in a certain direction. And regardless of your heated feelings, I just ask that if you hear this show one time, you pay attention to the result of the elections and what happens from that point forward. And I want to prove it just a little bit. I mean, I don't want to get into a 4-hour presentation of how ridiculous these things are. But more and more people are starting to come to this conclusion that it's the system that's broken. Whether you change the deck chairs on the Titanic, the boat is still sinking. It doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican. The problem is the money. Period. It's the money. I was watching this guy give a presentation the other day, and he talked about how private industry comes, they create a scenario where the water companies, is what he was talking about, the public water companies can't make any money, and they're going broke, and they don't want to raise rates, so they artificially lower cost because they don't want to raise rates on, Missouri citizens or whatever. I'm just whatever state. And then private industry, this is public-private cooperations. Have you heard that term, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
So the private companies come in, they invest, and now you don't have a public utility system, you have a business.
Yep.
And they say, and he was saying, whatever it costs them to get this business, they're now going to raise your rates to pay themselves back because now you're in the private arena and it's a business. It's not a service to the people. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious if you just watch what's going on with, the power companies, the water company. It's all the same game.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's sad because we've lost our way as a people, and we now believe that Wall Street, what your 401k looks like and how much money you have is the most important thing, and I think that it's not, and I think when society moves in that direction, we lose all sense of what right and wrong is. Does that make sense?
And they're monopolies now too, Rob.
Total
Especially
monopolies.
in Missouri. There's I think it's only maybe 2 or 3 water companies in Missouri, and they're still consolidating to where I think now it's going to be one water company, and we have basically one electric company with Ameren, right?
Mhm.
There are some other electric companies, but I would say probably 90% of the people here in Franklin County, St. Charles County, and Lincoln County, where I lived, would use Ameren. I mean, up in Lincoln County, you can use Quiver River Electric, but I think that's one of our problems too, is that these private companies who have these relationships with the public entities, not only do they have the relationship, but then they just take over, and then you don't have really much competition, and then that's how they can raise their rates because it's like, well, who else are you going to go to, right?
Mhm. They've got you.
Where else are you going to go? Where are you going to make your own electricity, Rob?
That's right. It's a real ugly situation. One of the titles coming up this week is "We're in a bad situation," and then I got a subtitle for it. But good morning, Elaine. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Papa Bill. Good morning, Shelly. Good morning, John. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Laura. Those are the only ones I can see on my screen right now because it's scrolling down. But good morning, everybody. It's great to see you on Monday. I'm back at home, back in my studio. Got to sleep in a little bit. Got to spend some time with my wife. So life is good. I just want to go through Missouri politics for a minute. Then I have it's a presentation of sorts. When I was with News Talk Radio, the guy that produced the show for me, it was Phil and his son Ethan. And he used to say, Rob, your show is more like it's like you're a professor in a college. And I said, yeah, a little bit. I said, it's just my opinion. And then you can just dissect my opinion. You can disagree with it. And then I want to hear what you have to say. I think I'm well-researched, and I think I'm a common sense guy. I'm not coming from any ideological bent. I have my own opinions on certain things, but I look at the Constitution as the framework from which we go by, not Rob's opinion. If Rob's opinion goes against the Constitution, I have to suffer because the Constitution that provides the guardrails that nobody's paying attention to anyway. Maybe I should change my philosophy. Let's get into just the things that I think are fake. Sean Ryan, my son and I were watching Sean Ryan and his Tucker Carlson interview. We played the trailer, I believe it was on Thursday, Isaiah, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Friday. But I just want to play this one more time because Sean Ryan has interviewed all of these, JD Vance. He's interviewed all of the major players because he has the #1 podcast, or did. I don't know if he still does, but at one time he had the #1 podcast in all of America. And when you say, Rob, what does that really mean, the #1 podcast in all of America? It means that he, Sean Ryan, is the most watched person in all of media. More than anybody, more than Jesse Waters, more than Sean Hannity, more than anybody, people were paying attention to what Sean Ryan had to say. Now, if you're over 70 and you don't not paying attention to social media and don't really know what it means, you've never even heard of Sean Ryan, fine. I'm just telling you how the system works. Right now, older people who don't really like to play with technology, I'm one of them. Isaiah put this together. I'd never be able to do this. Isaiah knows that, why he's got so much control over me.
I just checked. He's number 3 right now, but I know him and Joe Rogan. They always
he's number 3.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan's 1 and he's 3, so they're always,
Yeah, he was #1 at one time, a big major player in the game, and he has influence. And he goes on to Tucker Carlson, and he's kind of going through this transformation of thought. Whereas at one time he believed, like I did, like many of you still do out there, that you're going to change the way this system operates based on voting. I've come to the conclusion, you don't have to come to my conclusion. Don't get mad at me. I've come to the conclusion that at the federal level in particular, and maybe at the state level, I can't speak to the local level just yet. I haven't really figured that out. But at the federal level for sure, maybe the state level, it's a waste of your time and energy. Maybe. Federal level for sure, maybe on the state. The federal level is it's theatrics. It's Warenberg theater. It means absolutely nothing. It is a joke to spend your time and energy there. That is why Fox News and CNN and all of these different corporate outlets that are tied to the government, tied to the insurance companies, tied to the big pharmaceutical companies, that's why they keep you focused on national politics. They don't tell you what's going on within the states and how to solve the state issues, because if the 10th Amendment applies, the states have all the power. But they want you to think that everything is coming out of Washington, D.C., that all of your power is consolidated in Washington, D.C., and it's not. Although that is, well, it is, Isaiah, if that's the perception. If that's
Yeah.
your perception of things, then it's real. Remember, perception is reality. I ever
Yep.
tell you the story, Isaiah, when I went out partying when I was in Las Vegas? And I've heard the saying before, but it was just perfect timing. I went out partying in Vegas and I got food poisoning.
Oh,
And I would
no.
normally show up, when I was a young kid, 26, 27 years old, I could stay out till 3:30 in the morning and show up at 7:30 fresh as a daisy. You never even know
Yeah.
I was out. In this particular instance, we had a big party and they had shrimp and everything in this big smorgasbord. And I like to eat, Isaiah. You've seen it in
Mhm.
action. And I'm mowing down shrimp, and I can't have shrimp and beer. I can't do those two things together because it gives me food poisoning.
Yeah.
So I was eating the shrimp off the buffet, drinking beer, and about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up in bed and straight up, and I got food poisoning, and I'm about ready to die. I'm turning green, but I was new. I didn't want to not show up for a big convention out in Las Vegas. So I show up, I'm walking through the hallways, and my old boss, who wasn't my boss at the time, but was my previous boss, who was my mentor in the shoe business, his name's Dave. He sees me and he goes, "What's the matter with you?" And I go, "Man, I think I have food poisoning. I'm sick." And he goes, "Go home." He could see me sweat. I just looked like I was getting ready to die because I was. And he says, "Go back to the hotel. Don't come in looking like that." I said, "Really? I look that bad?" He goes, "You look like you're about ready to die." I said, "Okay." So I go back to the hotel, and then he calls me about 2 in the afternoon from the convention center, and he says, "Rob, were you out partying last night?" And I said, "I was out, but that's not why I'm sick. I'm sick because I ate something." And here's what he was so mad at me. He goes, "Rob, I don't care whether you were sick or whether you were whatever." He goes, "The impression is that you were out till 2:33 in the morning, and now you're not showing up for work the next day." And he goes, "Remember this when it comes to business. Perception is reality. In
Yeah.
life, perception is reality." He said, "And the perception right now is that a 26-year-old kid that I mentored, you're under my wing. They think that you're a product of what I've taught you, is out till 3:30 in the morning and then not showing up for work the next day." I said, "Got it." I said,
Yeah.
"I got it." So when we talk about Washington, D.C., the perception is that's where all the power is at. But the reality is, if we were to follow the Constitution, all the power lies within the states. The federal government is just an absolute joke. I think most people are starting to get wind of that, Isaiah. I don't know how they're
Mhm.
going to, react to it, but I think most people are starting to recognize that what they see in Washington, D.C. is somewhat theatrical and doesn't
Yes.
really mean much of anything other than
Especially my generation and younger.
correct. Which is really odd that the younger people are figuring this out now, and I think it is because of social media. People have access to more information. Young people are starting to weigh
Yeah.
the information and going, "Wait a minute, something just isn't right here." Okay,
Mhm.
so let's start with Sean Ryan. It's clip number 4. Let's just start with Sean Ryan. Let's just talk about the fakeness of everything and how people are starting to weigh it. And then I'm going to give you Barack Obama as just my one example for the day, but I could give 1,000. I just want to spend all day on this. Let's go with Sean Ryan. This is the beginning. Oh, this is a trailer for his interview with Tucker Carlson. Again, Sean Ryan, right now the number 3 podcaster in America. We all know who Tucker Carlson is. Listen to this conversation. Check it out.
I never want to involve myself in the U.S. political system or vouch for any man again.
Thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back.
And then there was this period where you, got involved, but you got closer to the political process. And now you're saying you don't want anything to do with that.
No, I never. I just don't.
Why?
Everything is a lie.
And then Trump, the last hope, winds up aligning with Chuck Schumer. At that point, you have to ask yourself, is there a political solution to the problems that we have?
No.
And I don't know the answer, but I'm starting to think maybe there isn't.
I became obsessed with evil.
That's good.
Like obsessed with it. I just got back from a Ibogaine 5 of me.
Well, you know what? Can you start it right there? I want to know what this is, by the way, before I get into my presentation here.
Sure.
What's he talking about here? Me and my son rewound this several different times because we don't know what he's talking about. Apparently, he took some form of psychiatric drug,
Okay.
and he saw evil. Do you know what this?
No, what?
Rewind it 3 seconds because he's getting
Okay.
ready to talk about it. And I
Interesting.
want to know if you know what it is.
I just got back from a Ibogaine 5-ameo experience.
What is that?
Didn't go.
I've been getting 5 meal. What is that?
I have no idea.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either. Is it some type of like Native American?
I don't really know. It's some kind of I don't really know what it is. But apparently he took some drugs that took him to a different dimension. He saw evil and it shook him to the core, and now he is obsessed with evil, was the premise of that particular conversation. But as Sean Ryan is saying, he does not want to get involved in the political arena anymore because he is determined that it's all fake. How many times have we said it, Isaiah? What we talk about 3 and 4 and 5 years ago, all the major podcasters that have the big audiences, they begin to figure it out when it's just a little bit too late, if you understand what I'm saying. That's why I call this
Convenience.
the illusion of primary season. The illusion of primary season is political people that are in the political game. They get so excited. This is like their Super Bowl. Primary season, then the general election, and they get very excited and they go out and they got yard signs everywhere. They're making phone calls, blood, sweat, and tears. They are working their absolute tail off to make a difference. And I appreciate it. I do. I'm not saying that I don't. And I think that those people are, they're true American patriots for doing what they do. And we'll see how it plays out. My understanding of what goes on in government is through the lens of monitoring it without trying to determine a side for the better part of, let's say 7 or 8 years. So for 7 or 8 years, I've watched it intently. And what I understand is it doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican. It's a fallacy. It's a charade. It means nothing at the federal level. I don't think it means anything in the state of Missouri, but I could be wrong. That's up for determination. I've made the determination that what goes on at the federal level is just theatrics. It is, they use the media. We've talked about it 1,000 times, but very quickly, they use the media to simply divide us so that we can't get our act together as a people. We know they're lying to us about everything. We consciously know that they're not telling us the truth about anything. But when primary season comes around, we're like, okay, both the Democrats and Republicans lie about every single thing that they say. So now what we're going to do is we're going to vote for either the Democrats or the Republicans to fix a situation that we know is being fostered by them in cahoots with one another so that we never organize against the bigger system. Does that make sense, Isaiah?
Yeah, it's so funny too that I was thinking about this is that, right now we have all these people that want to come and talk to their constituents as we're approaching the elections. And then when we're in the legislative session, we don't hear from them at all.
No.
We don't hear, hey, what do you think about this legislation that we're talking about right now?
Right. Jake Jackson is
right.
Yeah, Jake Jackson is a young guy that is very heavily invested in politics. I think he was on the campaign for Bob Onder, who's now a U.S. congressman. He was on the campaign for Adam Schnelting, who's now a Missouri senator. And he's getting after everybody. I mean, he is really calling them out using some very straightforward language, if you understand what I'm saying. And now they're beginning to fight back. And I think the reason it's important to see these things is now you get to see how it all shakes out, how these people view people who disagree with them. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't, Isaiah. And a lot of people are just horrified.
He's a digital Paul Revere.
Well, he's just dragging these people into the mud.
Yeah.
And then you get to see how they react to things. I would be terrible at it. I've already said if I was a politician, well, I take it back. If I was a politician, I would probably go about it a different way. But as a commentator, I look at it like many of these politicians. If you want to fight, let's get it on. And I mean, verbally, not getting in the ring. Well, I guess we do that too, but I'm really talking more about the verbal back and forth.
We'll raise some money for some. We can raise some money for cancer or something to do a boxing match, right?
Yeah, yeah. By age, though, I don't want to be fighting a 25-year-old. You understand what I'm saying? It's got to be at least 56 for me, and shorter, and not as athletic. If that's going on,
at least 6 inches shorter.
6 inches shorter, not very athletic. And I'm willing to take you on. I used to be able to do 50 push-ups like it was nothing. I was doing the other day. I did 25, and I felt my chest was about to explode. I'm like, I have half the push-ups from a year ago.
I know.
I could do 50 push-ups, and now I can barely do 25. That's what happens when you stop working out.
We used to do 50 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, like in a row. Boom, 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 boom.
You were a kid?
Yeah, when I was 24. Yeah, like 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. It's crazy.
Youngster. All right, let's do Charlie Kirk.
I was a swimmer, so that was my benefit. I swam.
Some of the greatest athletes are swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
hard.
It's very difficult. All right, Charlie Kirk, number one. Now we're going to go just into the realm of media and politics, okay? Because he is talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, remember Jeffrey Epstein? He's kind of off the front cover now. Nobody really cares anything about it. The fact that he sexually molested 43 girls under the age of 15, let's just forget about that. Alex Acosta.
I'm trying to get Thomas Massey to come on to talk about the Epstein Files Transparency Act too, because that dropped and no major mainstream outlet has picked that up. So
no. I'm down with that. Let's try to get him on. I want to get him on anyway. But let's just do Charlie Kirk, as he made commentary about Jeffrey Epstein, and listen to what he describes. He describes a fake scenario that we all now believe. And I think Charlie Kirk is right on the money. I don't, well, here, I'll let him say. I don't want to, get in the middle of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, clip number 1, Isaiah.
That Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who's obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
Working for who? Right? That's the big question, is working for who?
Yeah.
So when I see that, what he's trying to describe for you is a scenario that was put upon everybody, that he's this financial genius, that he is the guy that is doing everybody's taxes because he's just smarter than everybody, has no college degree. Remember this.
Mm-hmm.
He has no college degree, and Jeffrey Epstein was hired at the Dalton School in New York by Donald Barr, the father of Bill Barr. And by the way, Donald Barr was in the OSS, which is the predecessor to the CIA. And then Bill Barr, who was working on behalf of George Bush for the CIA, was the runner between information between the CIA and Congress during the church hearings. How could people not see what's going on here? Isaiah, just explain it to me. I just don't understand why Fox News isn't describing this. It's ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to play it because it's too loud, but I just got to, just think about it.
It's too loud for Kurt's ears.
It aggravates Kurt, so I don't want to aggravate. I like Kurt. I don't want to aggravate him. But it's amazing to me that we have a society that knows the basics and cannot see the forest through the trees. These are intelligence everything's an intelligence. If you think that was an intelligence operation against the most powerful people in the political world, what do you think they're doing to you? What do you think they're doing to you? Because if Jeffrey Epstein was to blackmail, let's say he blackmails Lindsey Graham, for example, do you think Lindsey Graham has any power? What if Lindsey Graham says, you're blackmailing who? You're Ladybug? You're gonna blackmail Ladybug? And then this Jeffrey Epstein would have been dead long ago, unless Jeffrey Epstein was untouchable for reasons that everybody understood. Right, Isaiah? You can't blackmail billionaires and multimillionaires and get away with it. I mean, what's wrong with people? There's no common sense in our world anymore. You cannot do it to multiple billionaires, or you'll end up in the bottom of a river. And yet Jeffrey Epstein was able to do it for decades across multiple different fronts. The UK with Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell, her father. You have what happened in America. You have his connections to Saudi Arabia. You have his connections to Qatar. You have his connections to Israel. You have his connections to everything. He was obviously working on behalf of an entity that you didn't mess with. Can I get an amen?
Yeah, I wonder if anyone ever tried to kill Jeffrey Epstein besides, his alleged, suicide.
His alleged suicide, right? Do you think he's dead, by the way? What's your gut feeling on that?
No, I don't think so.
Why?
You're
a conspiracy theorist, I see.
Yeah, it's just, if the footage wasn't lost for that little moment, right?
I don't think he's dead either.
And then the prison guards, oh, we're just walking away. We just don't know. This guy who was on suicide watch, we're just over here.
Somebody said they actually saw him or saw a government vehicle, an unmarked government vehicle driving away from the jail that evening. Yeah, that used to be big news back in the day, but that went away. Fox News is not going to cover that for some reason.
No, that's what I was actually going to say earlier, is that, they only connect the dots or tie these narratives together that they want us to know, Rob. They're not going to sit here and tie these types of narratives together so that we can understand that Israel and Britain and Saudi Arabia and all these other countries are connected, right? Because they're our allies, and that would be bad if we showed that, they're
all working together,
and so that they're all working together. They're only going to push the narratives that help push the propaganda that they're trying to get out there in the ways that they want us to fall in line, essentially. Right?
Exactly. That's why my buddy John says you're a genius. That's the way I see it as well. It just makes perfect sense that even these countries are working together. Just like World Wrestling Federation, it just is a facade. It's just it's a game they play in order to keep their societies in check. That's my take on it. All right, let's do Obama for a minute. Let's talk about how fake it is. Now, what you're watching right now is the Donald Trump administration, and where he gets the highest. His numbers are not very good from the polling, if you believe it or not. Okay, I'm just saying the numbers right now that Fox and CNN and all of these major polling outlets are producing say that Donald Trump is in a world of hurt, and the Republicans are going to get slaughtered in the upcoming general election for midterms. Barack Obama, if you remember, he was the guy, and I'll just show you two clips. Barack Obama was the guy who outwardly, when he was trying to get Republicans and independents to vote for him, was talking about immigration all the way back to 2006, 20 years ago. Barack Obama was the guy that was going to put an end to immigration. And let me talk to all the geniuses out there in the Republican Party, because I know there's a lot of geniuses within the Republican Party that have been elected. These are the smartest people in the world, Isaiah. You know how I know?
Oh, yeah.
Because they figured out the only way to get rid of illegal immigrants is to have ICE, a police force, run around the country and try to pick up illegal immigrants off the streets. That's the only way to get it done.
That's it.
It's the only option you have. I mean, nobody went, wait a minute. If these people can't work in the United States and they can't get a job,
they can't make money, and they can't live somewhere.
Here, let me think. Why would they come to America and not be able to survive? Or if they went to prison for 10 years, if they got caught in here illegally, I wonder what would happen. No, let's not do that. No way should we do that. What we need to do is have a military force run around the country and pick these people up off the streets. That makes way more sense than restricting their ability to work and putting them in prison for 10 years if we catch them. That makes way more sense. Doesn't it, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely makes more sense to have ICE running around all over town. Okay.
I wonder if Russia has an illegal immigration problem.
Who?
I wonder if Russia has an illegal immigration problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's go to Barack Obama. Now, this is Barack Obama in 2006. Does everybody remember when Barack Obama became president of the United States? Little pop quiz. That was 2008. So this is Barack Obama as a senator from Chicago, a state senator in 2006. And listen to how he thinks we should go about the problem of illegal immigration in 2006. Here is Barack Obama, clip number 5, Isaiah.
Central components of immigration reform is enforcement. And this bill contains a number of important provisions to beef up border security. But that's not enough. Real enforcement also means drying up the pool of jobs that encourages illegal immigration.
Duh.
And that can only happen if employers don't hire illegal workers.
Duh.
Unfortunately, our current employer enforcement system does little to nothing to deter illegal immigrants from finding work. Just a few statistics. Overall, the number of workplace arrests of illegal immigrants fell from 17,552 in 1997 to 451 in 2002. Even as illegal immigration grew during that time.
Okay. And what Bass Slayer says, that won't work under a cash system. Too many will pay cash for cheap labor. That's why I said the second component of that is if you get caught, you get 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you pay cash to somebody who's an illegal immigrant and you have a small business, then you're in big trouble. You just have to make the fines and the repercussions too severe for the people giving out money. Whatever means that is. Let's say that that if you're harboring somebody illegal, your family is. They come in from wherever they're coming from. They're coming in from Afghanistan. They work through the southern border. They get in, and you go, wow, I got family there. They're going to hide me out, and they're going to support me. I'm going to be in that family. Well, if you're harboring them, then there's a major fine. If you made it restrictive, then nobody would want to come here. You make it nice and easy because it would be too restrictive. But we don't. We open our arms to them. All the rhetoric, even from Barack Obama, is they don't want illegal immigrants here. No, they don't want illegal immigrants here. That makes would you think that he comes up with the best plan? Would you think it would be Barack Obama or Donald Trump? But the Republicans,
right?
Because this is the brainwashing, the Republican voter, because of the rhetoric, they think that Donald Trump is the king of controlling the borders and getting rid of illegal immigration. Whereas
I thought it was going to be last year.
Everybody did. That's what he ran on. That was, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall type of thing. Okay. Now let's go to Barack Obama with just another little tidbit of information that most people forgot. This is an interview with a dreamer. What was a dreamer, Isaiah? Those were people that had come across the border illegally. They had taken jobs. They'd been in the country for 8, 9, 10 years, and we were going to give them amnesty so they could stay in the country. Okay. But a dreamer came here illegally, Isaiah. If they came here illegally, should they have the right to vote?
No.
Well, Obama disagrees with you, Isaiah. Can you imagine Obama? So the guy that wanted to restrict all of the illegal immigration, have him take you out of the world. This is a Democrat. I'm just showing you the Democrats because Republicans get mad at me. I don't pick on the Democrats. Let's just show you both things. Okay. So Barack Obama, when he gives a speech in 2006, says if you want to control illegal immigration into your country, you must penalize job creators, because if you penalize job creators, they won't come in. And then after he becomes president for 4 years or 8 years, I can't remember exactly when this was, this is what he says about voting. Clip number 21. I say, let's pay attention.
The millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote, will immigration know where I live? Will they come for my family and deport us?
Not true.
Okay.
And the reason is, first of all, when you vote, you are a citizen yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls somehow are transferred over and people start investigating, et cetera. The sanctity of the vote is strictly confidential in terms of who you voted for. If you have a family member who maybe is undocumented, then you have an even greater reason to vote.
Isn't that a reason? So he's saying that dreamers, which were, as I understand it, dreamers were people that were here illegally.
And she goes, I'm going to call them citizens.
I'm going to call them citizens. He says they should have the ability to vote. And if they vote, there'll be no repercussions for their vote. Do we remember Holly Jones, Rep. Holly Jones, when she was at Real Talk Radio? And this conversation right here with, this is with former Secretary, he was Secretary of State of Missouri at the time, but listen very closely.
I have a quick question. Thank you for explaining that. If someone goes into a Social Security Administration office, just somewhere to register to vote, and they offer up their state-issued ID, whether it's a driver's license or a non-driver's license, how do we know if that is an illegal or a citizen? Because illegals...
That's a great question.
Illegals
that's a really good question.
Yeah, they're able to just come in, get ID, whether it's non-driver or driver. And how do we even know if these people are legal citizens of the United States and then can register to vote because they have a license?
We don't necessarily fully know that.
I don't know what else to say, Isaiah. So when I talk about the illusion of primary season, you have to understand that if the authorities in this country, the people that govern you, the people that tax you, the people that imprison you, the people that stalk you, the people that put the flock cameras in, the AI data centers, the Patriot Act, the 702 FISA warrants, and the like, if they wanted real elections, they would have real elections. They don't want real elections. And it's not Democrats or Republicans. It is the system that doesn't want the elections to be held properly because there's too much money involved, and you might get in the way of their business. You might get in the way of Missouri Inc.
Yeah.
What's ironic about it, to me at least, is they don't care. These are the people that are supposed to be looking out for the citizens of this country, and you can't get the SAVE Act passed by the Republican Party, which says you have to have a some form of documentation to prove you're a citizen before you vote. They can't pass that. That's the Republicans. Does that sound a little bit like Obama did when he said, there's not going to get in any trouble if you vote, if you're here as a dreamer?
The only way it passed in the House was putting it with the NDAA.
Exactly. It's just amazing that people can't see the forest for the trees, and they get mad at me. They say, Rob, you're not that smart. We're right in the middle. And I look at these people very similar to the way I see very educated people. They go to college, they get indoctrinated into a thought process. They think because they're smart and they went to college and they got a degree that they're smarter than the people that were born with common sense and didn't need the indoctrination of the colleges to teach them how to do business, for example. But they think they're smarter because they have the degree on their wall than everybody else. And they're not. They're just a little bit more indoctrinated into a system because the colleges show you how to live within a system that has been created to strip you of your rights and your freedom and your ability to think. Sad but true. All right, let's get into some of the things. I want to go through the people that I would vote for in Missouri. Can we do that? Because I have 8 right now that I would vote for. And if anybody is listening, if you think that we're missing somebody, please let us know who that is. I'll tell you, I think I've thought through everybody. I'll tell you the reason I'm not telling people to vote for them. I'm going to give my idea of right now there's 8 people in the state of Missouri that I would vote for, that I would go out and vote for. And I would say, I think you should go out and vote for this person. You want to walk through these real quick, Isaiah? And then if anybody has a differing opinion or want to add names to it, I'll look through the chat. You can tell me who they are. But the first person that I would vote for is Bryant Wolfen. Rob Carter, this has nothing to do with People's Lobby. I guess they're coming after me at People's Lobby. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Right? I mean, these people are something else. Bryant Wolfen is somebody that I would vote for because I think Bryant Wolfen has courage, and I think Bryant Wolfen is brilliant, and I think Bryant Wolfen understands that he needs to be constrained by the Constitution, and he speaks openly about it. This is my favorite cut of Bryant. Where is it? Let me find it here. Bryant Wolfen. Where is it? Where are you at, Bryant? I think it's on this side. Sorry. All right. This is it. So this is why I like Bryant Wolfen. This is commentary. This was in this is Jake Jackson, by the way. So this is a Jake Jackson interview. And he got Bryant Wolfen to tell us what we already know, but it's really nice to hear it from a representative in Jefferson City who understands the game that is being played. Here is Bryant Wolfen in an interview by Jake Jackson.
When we don't have a say, your representative, so like the people of the People's Lobby, like your representative doesn't really have a say in this building. They're not representing you. That's true. It's just, we just can't. We can't, let me rephrase it. We can't represent you first. You can't be our number one priority. We have to do other things first and then be able to represent you and have a say for that. We don't have an actual discussion in these big bills. Now, there may be small committees that could be formed, but in the end, we don't get to have those discussions. And obviously, if you dissent like I do often, you're never going to be a part of those conversations.
Boom. If you go up against the establishment, they restrict your ability to have any say. You can't do anything. They alienate you from the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Calzone said 90% of everything that goes on in Jefferson City is a top-down business-like, a corporate-like environment where the leadership, the donor money, and the leadership make all the decisions. Then you have about 10% of the decisions, the ones that are kind of on the fringe that don't matter all that much. That comes from the General Assembly.
Don't you feel that way about Amendment 5, that it's a top-down kind of thing coming from the federal government even?
Of course.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy to see all the, Donald Trump Jr. and Laura Trump, all these people coming out saying, oh, look at Governor Kehoe.
And you notice
get rid of income tax. So great.
Yeah, I want to get to that here in just a bit. So don't jump ahead.
Oh, I didn't even see it on there. I'm sorry.
Zaya, damn it.
I didn't see it on the clips. My bad.
Come on. This is why John loves you. He knows you're interrupting my flow and he likes that. He's the kind of guy that plays music right in the middle of a 4-foot putt for money. Boom, the music. Then when
you're getting ready to putt in it.
You got rattled. I said, no, you startled me right in the middle of my putt. Okay. The number one person I would vote for, the person I have the most respect for that is running for re-election right now for me is Bryant Wolfen. He's the one I would go with. Yeah. Are we okay? Everybody in the app agree with that? I see Jake Jackson's on there, about to go out and vote early.
Haven't seen any disagreements about Bryant.
If anybody
anytime we talk about him, he seems to be a popular guy.
Exactly. The number 2 person I'd vote for is Ike Skelton, and I reached out to Ike.
Before we move on from Bryant Wolfen, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you see what he made his profile picture the other day?
No.
They sent out mailers against him, calling him like the no man or something like that. He made his profile picture the mailer. I thought that was awesome.
Well, it's because he is. He knows that he is. He said, "Rob, I'd rather stop bad legislation than try to get good legislation passed because you can't get good legislation passed." That's.
I thought that was that's a pretty boss move, if you ask me.
He's sharp. He's one of the few sharp people, in my opinion.
Sorry.
All right, so we got Bryant Wolf, no problem, and then Ike Skelton. If you don't mind, let me find where I want to get this. Let's do clip number 9. Okay, let's get that ready. So let's talk about Ike Skelton for just a minute. Ike Skelton came to the opening of People's Lobby, Missouri. He was a government official who took down the flock cameras, took down I don't know if they were flock. I don't want to use their name if it wasn't flock, but safety cameras was he in Camden County? I think he's in Camden County.
Yep.
Okay. He's in Camden County. He's now running for Senate. I don't know what he thinks of me. You know, a lot of people get they try to cozy up to the Republican Party when it's game time because they think they're going to get some money and it becomes a club, which I don't like at all. But anybody that has the courage to take down these supposed safety cameras is on Robb Carter's team. Okay, we'll get to that here in just a minute as well. But the second person that I would vote for is Ike Skelton out of Camden County. He is running for Senate. This is a guy that I think is doing the right things, understands individual liberties and rights, understands that with freedom comes responsibility. You cannot have a security state and go, we're free. We're going to monitor every single thing that you do. It's going to be so fantastic because there'll be no more crime. It's going to be great. That's what totalitarian.
For your safety, Rob.
That's what totalitarian governments do. I don't know why people don't see that, but they don't. You know, I saw Jason Law. He is run. We'll get to him in a minute. I don't want to. I keep wanting.
You're getting all worked up now.
Let's do clip number 9. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. Now, this guy has tattoos all over his face, which is very odd to me. Isaiah, do you know anybody that gets tattoos on their face?
Yeah. He's a multimillionaire.
Who is
this guy you're about to play? He's a big content creator guy.
He's got tattoos all over his face. Very odd. I find it odd to get tattoos. Yeah, I don't quite understand.
He doesn't have to work though. That's my point. Is he doesn't have to.
Would that make you put tattoos on your face?
Well, I mean, when you don't have to work a regular job,
I'll get tattoos on my face. I'll be a 57-year-old man.
I think that's kind of the mindset people get into. Is they're like, oh, I don't have to do anything, you know, so it doesn't matter.
Wonder if people would pay attention to the show if I had tattoos all over my face. You think it'd be better or worse?
As long as it says "I stand with Israel" on your forehead,
I'll get it done. I'll get the Star of David on my cheeks. Each cheek I'll have a Star of David. Be perfect.
Right here.
I'm sure my profile.
Your viewership would skyrocket, Rob.
I think that Ben Shapiro and Mike Huckabee and Mark Levin and those group of people would have me on their shows immediately and grow my platform tremendously. Good point. Ike Skelton. Okay, flock cameras. I'm off the reservation here. Clip number 9. This guy he's telling people what could potentially happen with flock cameras. Check it out. Clip number 9. I think this is hilarious.
Camera, one of about 100,000 installed across the United States to watch over you and keep you safe. But there are criminals among us who believe that these violate their privacy and human rights. These hooligans are going out and purchasing battery-operated reciprocating saws like this one and 6-inch Diablo Steel Demon blades, knowing it's more efficient and quieter than angle grinders. They go out dressed in non-identifying disposable clothing, including work gloves and full face coverage so as to not display the color of their skin, their eyes, their hair color, or their tattoos. Of course, these people are careful, so they make purchases in cash and keep no receipts. In preparation of their illicit activities, these vile individuals use deflock.org to pick a target and plan a route that avoids camera detection. With all phones, smartwatches, and geolocating devices left at home, these villains know if they're not caught in the act, they'll get away scot-free. I've set up a demonstration on my private property to show you just how efficient the lunatics have become. With their saw wrapped in a trash bag, they approach from behind the camera's line of sight and tear right through this black aluminum alloy post. Hopefully Flock has secured the cameras a little better so they don't get a personal injury lawsuit. Once these degenerates have destroyed the post, they go for the camera too, even the solar panel. They're thorough in their destruction to ensure maximum monetary loss, and they always leave the remnants behind as a visceral message to all. After this, the cold-hearted anarchist makes their predetermined getaway, casually yet swift. By adhering to this specific set of principles, this wild subculture of flock hunters ensures that their MO is always the same. The modus operandi never changes. That way, if one of their members is picked up by law enforcement, they will face one charge of vandalism, but tying them to any previous or subsequent acts of destruction will be nearly impossible for the prosecutor. Some say flock hunters are domestic terrorists, others true patriots protecting our rights, our freedom, and our future. As for me, well, I'm just an unbiased, independent journalist.
Pretty good stuff. Pretty good, right? And these flock cameras are getting torn down all over the country.
Yep.
I don't think that I could I don't want to get in any legal trouble, but
No.
I'll
we're not telling anyone to do it. It's just
I'll leave it there.
That's the information. Do with it what you will. That's what people say, right?
That's what I say. I think the people that are supporting flock cameras are not thinking clearly. Now, I will say this: if I'm in security, if I'm a police department, I want them.
Yep,
I get it. But if you're a politician, you have a constitution to protect. The police departments are going to go by what the government allows them to do, and if the government allows them to do these things and it makes their job easier, well, naturally they're going to do it. But it is up to the politicians to understand that it's not about. I heard somebody arguing the other day, Isaiah. It said they were going back and forth, and they said, well, you have no expectation of privacy in a public area. Okay, fine. I do have the expectation that my government isn't tracking every move that I make. That I have. And that's what they're doing with flock cameras. It's not like you're walking around the park and they're going to see if you're going into the park. Yeah. If you go from the park to grandma's house, over here to meet with some political buddies that may not like what the government is doing, and then you go here, they can track every move that you make. That is against the Fourth Amendment. Fact, not a joke. Fact, it's against the Fourth Amendment. Anybody that doesn't see it that way, I would ask them, what do you think we have Fourth Amendment protections for? How do you understand them?
Yep.
You understand them that the government can track every move that you make? That's the way you understand the Fourth Amendment? I don't think so. I don't think that's
surveillance is not what flock is doing. Surveillance is you or I sitting at a screen that's running footage and someone's surveilling it so that they could catch something, right? I think that's very different than what flock is trying to do. And that's what I want to make clear to people, because a lot of people don't understand the technological side of it, Rob, is that, oh, it's just a camera. And you'll hear the flock CEO say, oh, all we do is take a picture of a license plate. Come on. Don't get bent out of shape over it. And that's just simply not true. Their old cameras used to only take pictures of the license plates. But if you look up their new cameras, the Condors, they track humans. They track our shirts, what we're wearing. Those are the ones that are put on the walking paths or out in front of stores where people are walking in. They can't catch a vehicle, Rob, at all with these cameras. So what are they doing with them? I think they're really trying to track people, where they're going, where their movements, like you just mentioned, and who they're connecting with. And we've seen that from all these cases across the country where people are being stopped, or cops are showing up to their house and they're not the ones who committed the crimes.
Absolutely. I was just watching 2020, 2020 Dateline, 48 hours in 2020. I was watching a 2020 last night with my wife, and they had this story where this woman gets killed in her home and then her car gets taken from her. And this was a repeat. And the police were able to find the car through the flock camera system and track him down. That's it. And I can understand that from a police point of view. If I'm a police officer, I would want these tools because it helps me find criminals. As a citizen, I understand that with freedom comes responsibility, and to be surveilled 24/7 is not something we want to give our government or the authorities the ability to do. And you must also understand, this is the way my perception of it is, anything that is out there, you got to remember, China was hacking Hollywood. They were hacking our systems. If systems are hackable, just because this is what you think is going on doesn't mean there isn't a government entity or somebody with power that can hack these things and follow anybody they want, anywhere, anytime. We should not allow them to have that kind of capability. It's just, to me, it's just crazy. Yeah. I don't even understand why we're having an argument about it. Yeah. And I really don't understand how citizens don't see this for what it is.
And it's a warrantless search. That's what people don't understand, because I just see someone in here saying cell phone, computer, refrigerator, wash. That's not the same, because your local police department has access to flock cameras.
Right.
They do not have access to that data. They would have to get a warrant to access any of that data. They do not have to they do not need a warrant to search their flock safety system. That's why a police officer can go inside the flock safety system and track where his ex-girlfriend went all across.
Which is happening.
And that's what's happening. And so that's the problem. That's what's different. That's why I want to make people understand, because that's what Base Slayer just said here is the pushback you'll hear a lot, Rob.
Right.
And that's a limited understanding of how, and I'm not trying to undercut Base Slayer here. They may just not understand how they fully function, but that's the issue with them from a technological standpoint.
But listen to what Base Slayer is saying. Okay, now this is Base Slayer. No offense here. I know you listen a lot, and this is not to offend you in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate everybody that listens. It says your cell phone, your computer, the refrigerator, washer and dryer, doorbells, flock is outdated. And what I'm trying to explain to you is none of that should be legal. None of it.
It's true. Yeah.
Just because something becomes accepted because you recognize that your computer is spying on you, you recognize that your television set can spy on you even when it's not
Even
on,
more true.
or they can track your cell phone when it's not even turned on and so forth. That doesn't make it okay to exacerbate it and make it total. What you should say, Best Layer, is all of these things are being done and our government should be protecting us because that's what we have a government for. We have a government of by and for the people. If the government says people are different, you can't track us, but we can track you, then you don't have a government of by and for the people, and you don't have any Fourth Amendment protection rights.
And what's the famous quote from Benjamin Franklin? I think David Robertson said it the other night, is that something along the lines of summary of, if people are willing to give up their liberties for security or something like that, right?
You deserve neither.
You deserve neither.
That's
Yeah.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
And paraphrasing, those who would give up their individual liberty for temporary safety will end up with neither. And that's exactly what they're doing. And, people have to understand that when you're in politics, you feel it.
Yeah.
When you're not in politics and you're not doing anything that is political, you're not worried about it. These are to protect people that want to get into the political game, that don't like totalitarian government, that might want to start a third party, that might be getting into the Charlie Kirk range. We have a lot of influence. Do you want to be tracked by your government every step of the way? The answer should be no. Can they do it now? Yes. Do they do it now? Yes. Are they going to make it easier? Yes. Are they going to store that information in perpetuity so they have it forever? So they can say, look at Robb here when he was 21 years old.
Yeah.
He went over here to this nightclub on the east side of St. Louis, and then he went here. Look at him here on his phone. Look, he's partying down. Look at this idiot. And then they can store that forever and begin to publish it whenever you get into a position of power. Do you want that? And the reason you should say no is that is the entire idea behind Fourth Amendment search and seizure, because if your government can track you and search you whenever they want to, and that means search you on your computer, search you on your phone, when they can do these things, you're no longer able to organize against your government. It's over.
That's what China. That's where China is.
China model, exactly. You think China's worried about another party coming in and taking over China? No, they're not.
No, I just saw the drones the other day. A guy's riding his moped, and there's they're all sitting in line.
Man was
there,
riding a moped,
and he's what?
A man was driving a moped.
I know, right? This is in China. Okay.
Was it Josh Hawley?
Yeah, exactly. This was in China. The Chinese Josh Hawley. He wasn't wearing a helmet, and so this drone flew down to tell him, "Hey, you need to wear a helmet. You need to wear a helmet." And it kept repeating it. Right? He didn't put a helmet on, but it just is yelling at him, "Hey, you need to wear a helmet. Be safe. You need to wear a helmet." All these things, right?
Yep.
And going back to flock safety, I question, the 2020 story, for example. I question whether they needed the flock safety cameras to solve that, because lots of stories that you see being pushed by Flock right now, you'll see them post something on X. That's where I typically find my news sources. And so I see something on X and it's like, oh, look at this amazing crime we've solved with Flock. Well, you wait 24 hours. Typically those posts all of a sudden get community noted, and you find out the truth behind it is like, oh, they didn't need the Flock safety system to solve this crime. Okay. So Flock is using this as propaganda to further their business.
Right. Despite the fact that would have been solved without their surveillance.
Exactly. It's like, so all these, that's my question too, is all these detectives and all these police officers we're paying, they're idiots. Should we deduct should I start knocking their salaries down there? Because I have that power as, as a local official. Should I, because we have these, we don't need you guys anymore. We have AI. You're not as much needed. Should I drop your salary from 60 to 40,000 now? Is that what we're saying?
AI is the beginning of the end if we don't pay attention to AI. We'll get to that as well. Let me start. Bryant Wolfen is somebody that I would vote for. Now I see we're going to play Michael Compton's got a bunch of people for Act for Missouri that he would support. These are the ones that Robb Carter would support. If I was in Missouri, these are the people that I would be going for. Number 1, Bryant Wolfen. Number 2, Ike Skelton. Number 3 is a newcomer who's running in Jefferson County, and that is David Robertson, who I just emceed an event for. I emceed it as Robb Carter, by the way. We took no money. Take no money for these events. David Robertson, the reason I like David Robertson is I think he's trying to be as honest as he can about what he has witnessed in his primary race. That's why I like David Robertson. I've watched him grow as a candidate, and I like him. So I would vote for David Robertson. I'd vote for Bill Eigel. Let me tell you why I'd vote for Bill Eigel. I'd vote for Bill Eigel because of the 3 people that are really in that race, you have Steve Ellman. This is for St. Charles County Executive. Steve Ellman just doesn't have the it factor for me. So I don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm just not interested in Steve Ellman. I actually like
He
Jason
seems
Law.
similar to Mitch McConnell.
Kinda. Yeah. Bill Eigel. Wait, let me go through them. Steve Ellman, just for me, just doesn't have the it factor. He's getting a little tired, and I just don't know why he's even running. So Steve Ellman is not somebody that I would vote for. The other guy is Jason Law. I had Jason Law on the show. I really like Jason Law. I have no issue with Jason Law. He's a former cop, I believe. The reason I wouldn't vote for Jason Law is because he's taking his cop duties into the executive director county executive position, and he's for flock cameras. So anybody for flock cameras, anybody that says I'm for flock cameras, I'd vote against them. Because anybody that says we should implement this system is somebody that, as far as I can tell, doesn't understand the Constitution, doesn't understand it, doesn't understand the premise of the Constitution, doesn't understand what freedom looks like. And when you carry that into a position of power, I'm out. So I am with Bill Eigel over Steve Ellman and over Jason Law. Okay. Next one is Peter Pfeiffer. Now, Peter Pfeiffer has, I would vote for Peter Pfeiffer. He's the number one guy on the ballot in front of Ann Wagner. And the reason I wouldn't vote for Ann Wagner is because I don't really trust Ann Wagner. I don't like people who enrich themselves when they go into office. When you go in with X amount of dollars and you come out with 30 million, I don't know. Seems to me like you might be using your office for different means than what I would want you to use them for. Does that make sense, Isaiah?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen a single town hall either from Ann Wagner.
I'm out on Ann Wagner. So Peter Pfeiffer would be my guy. I think that is district number 2, St. Louis is where he's running. Peter Pfeiffer's out working his tail off right now, trying to make a living. So he does not have the millions of dollars to spend on his campaign, but he would be a much better option than Ann Wagner. You need fresh blood. Why are Republicans constantly complaining about what's happening in Washington, D.C., and then putting the same people in over and over again? I would question the elections at that point, but I would go for Peter Pfeiffer. So we have Bryant Wolfen, Ike Skelton, David Robertson, Bill Eigel, Peter Pfeiffer, and then we talked about elections. I would vote for Jen Olson. She is running for what is it, St. Charles County election director. I would vote for Jen Olson. I would vote for Jen Olson early. I would vote for Jen Olson often. I would vote for Jen Olson, and I would vote and tell everybody to vote. This is the one where I would say if I was in St. Charles County and I was just a normal everyday citizen, the most important vote you're going to make is the local vote, and the most important vote you're going to make, period, bar none, would be, in my opinion, Jen Olson and then Bill Eigel. Jen Olson first.
And just so people know, St. Charles County is probably the most important county in the state of Missouri.
If you're a conservative.
If you're a conservative, yes. Right.
Jen Olson is the number one person in St. Charles County to vote for. If you do not clean up your elections, you're sunk. As a society, we're sunk. We need somebody to hand count paper ballots, period, end of sentence. And that person needs to be supported by her community, because it's brave what she's doing, and she's taking a lot of slings and arrows from everybody associated. Go out and vote for Jen Olson. When Jen Olson wins and she gets our election system cleaned up in St. Charles County, and people start to recognize, wow, human beings can hand count paper ballots. It's amazing. We didn't think humans could do that anymore, but they actually can. Check it out. They're actually counting votes by hand. They're doing it as the voting is going on. It's nice and simple. There's a track record of the vote. You have human eyes looking at it. You can't manipulate algorithms or anything of that sort. You must vote for Jen Olson in St. Charles County. As far as I'm concerned, this is Rob Carter talking. Jen Olson is a no-brainer for me.
We need to get someone from the Colombian government or from Colombian Election Authority on, because they hand counted all their paper ballots recently. I'm very, very curious to see what that looked like.
How about somebody from Texas? Would say it again. I was reading.
Colombia hand counted all their paper ballots recently. I think it's Colombia, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. And so I'd be curious to see, if it's not Colombia, whatever country just did it. Be curious to get someone from their election authority or their government or something to talk about. Well, how did you guys get it to where you're allowed to hand count the paper ballots? Right? And then 2, how did you get it done? What was your system and your processes look like? Right.
Check this out. So, Stacy says, "Hey, Rob and Isaiah from the great state of Texas. I almost wore my Texas shirt today. That's why I put that up there. I almost put it on. I had it in my hand.
Don't mess with Texas.
Hey, I had it in my hand. I was getting ready to put it on. I'm thinking, I'm going to wear my People's Lobby shirt today for
People's Lobby.
But I almost put my Texas shirt on. We had a team called the Missouri Longhorns. So we had the Longhorns college baseball team as our uniforms when I was coaching baseball one year. And you know why we did that, Isaiah? Because my kids like to look. So we play tournaments down in the South. We play tournaments in Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. And they would go, Southern Envy. Look at these guys. They're from Missouri and they're wearing. And I said, there's some truth to that because we like uniforms. So here we go. Okay. So we got Bryant Wolfen, Ike Skelton, David Robertson, Bill Eigel, Peter Pfeiffer. The number one vote that I would make in St. Charles County, bar none. Absolutely, you have to vote for Jen Olson. If Jen Olson doesn't win, I don't know what you can do anymore because you can't hand count paper ballots. So if it's being manipulated, I just don't think you're ever going to know. But I would be voting for Jen Olson. Number 6 is Jeff Jacks. We've talked about Jeff. I've had him on the show before. I would vote for Jeff Jacks simply, and I disagree with some things with Jeff Jacks. I disagree with some of the things, but I want people that will communicate with the grassroots. He wants our support. He solicits our support. He's been soliciting my support for a very long time. He is a hard worker. He wants to do the right thing for the people over there in the St. Anne area, St. Anne, Missouri, where I grew up. And I just think he's the best option. And I think he'll communicate with us. You want people to go to Jefferson City that will communicate with the grassroots, the people that are paying attention to government. You want people that will communicate with you, that when you call them or you knock on their door, or you go to Jefferson City, they're going to invite you into their offices and you're going to be able to say what you feel. And you're not going to have somebody that disagrees with you on every issue just because they're going to parrot whatever the establishment says. Does that make sense, Isaiah? You can argue. I can go up there. I disagree with Bryant Wolfen on Amendment 4. I disagree with him.
Yeah, great example. If you elect David Robertson out there, then you'll see the Rob Carter show from Jefferson City then, right?
I told him,
office.
I said to Peter Pfeiffer and David Robertson, if they win, I intend to be your chief of staff. And if I'm not your chief of staff, I'm going to wear you out if you win. I want to be chief of staff. I want to go down into Jefferson City and I want to look all of these people in the eye. I want to tell them that if you want to be an American citizen, if you actually care about the people in your community, then you have to do things differently. You are not doing what is best for the citizens of the state of Missouri. That is a fact. Everybody knows that you're not doing that. I know that you've got caught up in a system. You think you're doing the best you can within that system. That is why you have to challenge the system. Make sense?
That's a fact, Jack. That's a fact, Jack.
You want it? If you want it,
bring it.
I'll give it to you. Hang on here just 1 second.
That's the fact.
Then we got to read
That's a fact, Jack.
Michael Compson, Jen Olson for Director of Elections, and Bill Eigel winning would be huge for the whole state because the changes they want to make in their counties will spread across the entire state. That's Michael Compton from Medford, Missouri. By the way, I got his book. And I agree.
Right there.
I agree. 100% agree with what he's saying. I think you have to, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. You have to start local, make something really good happen. St. Charles County, watch what happens in St. Charles County if you have leadership that actually cares about the people that live there. Not everybody talks about growth. That's another thing I was watching on social media. Growth. I moved out to St. Charles County in 1999 because there wasn't a ton of growth. It was growing, but I could drive my streets. I wasn't stuck on Highway K for 4 hours getting from Highway 60. Was it 64? 64 over to Highway 70. Now, if you drive that on a Saturday, you got to take the day off of work to get from one side to the other. It's insane. People don't want the growth. They liked it because they had trees built up and it was open. And that's why people moved to St. Charles County. Now it's turning into St. Louis County light. That's not what people moved out to St. Charles County for. But all they talk about is growth. And why do they want growth, Isaiah? Because they want more tax revenue for themselves. And then they get to allocate that tax revenue, which gives them more power, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, if they weren't interested in that, then Amendment 5 would actually cut the income tax and not make it up, right? There would be no making it up. It would be gone.
Correct. And then there's two other people that I'd vote for. One is going to be controversial within the grassroots community, but I would vote for Trisha Burns. And there's a lot of people that follow what I'm doing. They hate Trisha Burns. They just don't like Trisha Burns. It's from something that happened in the past. Here's my understanding of Trisha Burns and the reason I would vote for Trisha Burns. Trisha Burns was doing an interview with me on 93.3 Isaiah. And I give the questions the way I give everybody questions. I'm not looking to argue, but I said, why are we picking the Speaker of the House in this manner? Why are we doing these things? And when I was looking at Trish, I'm making my own assessments on what's before me, Isaiah, the body language, the eye movement, everything. I'm making the assessment. And, I study these things. This is something I understand to a degree. And I was watching her and I recognized that she had not thought through these things. She wasn't a regular listener of my show. And I could kind of see that she was not really sure how to answer. And on that day that Trisha Burns came in and did the interview with me, she was supposed to fill in for Ryan Haidt. He was the drive time guy. It still is at the 93.3. And she said, I'm filling in for Ryan Haidt today from 4 to 6. Do you mind coming back and let me interview you from 4 to 6? I said, of course. So I run back to the studio from 4 to 6, and now she has a Republican insider because she didn't know the answers to those questions. So he began to answer those questions, and all I recognized from Trisha Burns at the time was her evaluating the situation. I could see the wheels spinning in her head. And I think that sometimes we have to recognize that when you get into government, you don't know everything, and you make mistakes, and you make alliances, and you do things because you're now getting into a system that you're not really fully aware of how this system is manipulating you. But my take on that interview with Trisha Burns was something went on in the upstairs noggin, and she started to recognize that good people are caught up in a bad system. And I believe that she is aware now that if she wants to really be something special, she's going to have to make some changes. That was my assessment of Trisha Burns. Therefore, I would vote for Trisha Burns because I think she's better than her opponent. I think she's a hard worker. I watched her husband in court. Remember, I told you I went there for that traffic. I got to watch her husband. I thought he was fantastic. And I didn't even like to say that sometimes because I hate the system so bad. But watching him manage a courtroom gave me hope that there are good judges in St. Charles County because he did it, I thought, flawlessly. He was respectful to people that were in prison. Right. They got an attorney there. You got somebody in prison who's trying to get out. He was respectful to those people. I think she probably married somebody that's like-minded. That's usually how it works. And that is why I'm going to vote or would vote for Trisha Burns. That's another one.
Have you ever seen that Italian judge that goes viral and he's very nice to the people? Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I think of when how a judge should act, is that he's compassionate, understands where you're coming from and understands life. And
you're supposed to represent the people.
Yeah.
You're an elected person, whether it be a judge or anybody else. You have a duty to represent people. And that means you have to represent people who disagree with you. That's why the Jake Jackson thing is interesting. Because Jake Jackson, I think, wants all of the things that the other side says that they want, and they attack him because he's telling them they're not doing things in a proper manner. And they're like, what are you talking about, you? And they start to call him names. Right? So anyway, so we got Bryant Wolfen, Ike Skelton, David Robertson, Bill Eigel, Peter Pfeiffer, Jen Olson, Jeff Jacks, Trisha Burns, and the last one, of course, is John Grady. And I like John Grady. These are my picks. Now you got to remember, I have to know somebody. I can't just interview somebody one time and say that's the person. I got to get to know them just a little bit. I got to have conversations with them. I have to evaluate them. I'm sure there are a lot more good people to vote for. And
Absolutely.
we can put up Michael. Well, let's let Michael Compton and those guys do it on Thursday. Is that fair, Isaiah?
I think so.
Just let them go through their picks on Thursday. Those are my picks because I've met these people. I met Brian. I met Ike. I met David. I met Bill. I met Peter. I met Jen. I met Jeff. I met Trisha. And I met John. So these are people that I've talked to. I've looked them in the eye. I've watched how they communicate on social media. I see what's important to them, and I'm in alignment with the key points. So those are the only ones that Robb Carter would tell you to vote for. That doesn't mean I'm endorsing them. The only ones I'm endorsing are Jen Olson, David Robertson, and Bryant Wolfen. Those are the people that I would endorse.
Official endorsements, right?
Those are official endorsements from Robb Carter. Those are the ones I would endorse. Everybody else, I got to see what they do. David Robertson is a little bit, that's a kind of an odd one for me. I just have liked where David Robertson ended up. I watched where he started out. He offended some people that were close to me because I think he saw something or didn't agree with something. But over time, I think he's more and more moved in our direction that we got to take on this system, this behemoth of a government, this Missouri Inc., as we like to call it, that's allocating $50 billion annually. $50 billion annually. That's what they're allocating in the state of Missouri. Just think about that.
$50
billion.
Right?
Wow.
A deficit.
We got Eigel on there. Donna said no Eigel. We got Eigel on there.
Oh, yeah, we got Eigel. I think she's saying that you're not endorsing Bill Eigel.
Let me think on that one.
Yeah.
Let me think on that one.
Yeah. He's definitely the vote out of the three.
I would vote for him for sure.
Yeah.
He's the one I would vote for. Would I endorse him? Let me think on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not against Bill Eigel. I like Bill Eigel. I think he's a happy warrior. So I like Bill Eigel. Let me think on that one. I don't want to give that answer right now. Now, here's the things I would vote against. Okay. So if I'm in the state of Missouri, and by the way, like, comment, share.
There we go.
Subscribe. Please remember, like, comment, share, subscribe. We cannot get done what we need to get done unless we all work together. This is a group effort. Everybody knows that. I have to say it every day, but it is a group effort. We're going to get where we're going based on a group effort, and I'm about to start spending some money on the show. Okay, so I'm going to start spending money on the show. So we're going to have a meeting. I wanted to have it on July 20th, Isaiah, and I couldn't get anybody to come because they were so busy working on these primary campaigns that I just didn't feel it was the right time. So I pushed it off. So I'm looking at probably the third week of August.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have those people together, I want to explain what People's Lobby Missouri intends to do. I want to explain what we want to do with the show so that advertisers, people that listen to the show from anywhere can understand what we're trying to get accomplished, and then lay out a framework so they can watch it happen. This is one of the things I like to do when I was in business, Isaiah. I would come in and I would tell our sales reps, let's say we're doing $45 million. I wouldn't say we're trying to get to 50. I'd say we're going to get to 50 in 2016. We're going to get to 70 by 2018. And here is the method by which we're going to get it done. I want to take that same premise and use it for People's Lobby Missouri and for the Robb Carter Show, because there are things that we can do that will draw a bigger audience, that will create more conversation. And ultimately, like anything else, it just takes money. It takes money, because when you're talking about the things that we talk about, Isaiah, what happens is you have this big group of voters, or big group of listeners, and it begins to funnel just a little bit as you get more and more opinionated, right? So you're going to have people that love Donald Trump, and if you say something negative about Donald Trump, immediately they're gone. They don't want to hear anymore, because they've already made a determination. If you're saying anything critical of Donald Trump, you're a traitor to the nation, right, Isaiah? So we lose those people, and we know that, but we're going to funnel this down to our base, and then we're going to say, okay, that base, if 25,000 people are listening a week, right? That base, how do we grow that base? How do we find more like-minded people to draw into that base, whether it be Democrats, independents, or Republicans, or what have you, so that we understand we have to have a better government at the end of the day? How do we narrow down to that base and then recognize who those people are? What makes a Robb Carter Show listener? Why are they listening? What's going on with those people? And then grow that base from there, right? We'll identify them, target them, and we have to spend money to do it. It's just the way it works. I would not vote for anybody that supports AI data centers in its current form. So as soon as they say I'm for AI data centers, if they don't speak out against AI data centers, I wouldn't vote for them. So these are questions you can ask. You got a week, send them a message, find them on social media and say, do you support funding AI data centers? This can be at the state and local level. If they say yes, you're out. I'm out. I wouldn't vote for anybody that says, you know what, these people are signing non-disclosures, billions of dollars is floating all over America, and because Donald Trump says it's a good thing, therefore it's a good thing, therefore I want AI data centers to destroy the environment and collect data and store data on me now until forever. Okay, I just wouldn't want that. I don't want that capability. Even if they're not doing it, they will do it at some point. You're going to have a totalitarian person in a position of power at some point because of all of the surveillance techniques that they have now available to them. You're going to get to that point. If it's not here, it will be. Don't do it. Out on AI data centers. If they don't speak out against AI data centers, if they say, no, I'm a hard no, if they haven't put that out into social media, if they haven't said that, I'm done with them. Is that fair, Isaiah?
Yep.
Am I fair so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Same with flock cameras. You have to ask these people whether they're for flock cameras. If they say yes, they're for flock cameras, and they start to tell you why and how safe it's going to be and it catches criminals and this and that and the other, you're out. Because
that's why they want the AI data centers. They're not AI data centers. They're mass.
They work hand in hand. They work hand in hand. The reason you would vote against or not vote for anybody supporting flock cameras is very simple. They don't understand the Fourth Amendment. They don't understand why it's there. They don't understand the premise. Same people that want to take away your guns also want to surveil you every move you make. And those are not conservative people. That's not how conservatism works. Conservatism is shrinking. I was in it with this guy, Carl Bearden, the other day. Isaiah, you ever heard of this Carl Bearden guy on social media?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know him. And he's going back and forth with me on Amendment 5. And he's kind of getting aggressive towards me. I said, Carl, I don't even know who you are, brother. I'm not arguing with you. I said, you won't answer my question. A5 transfers taxes from income to sales and usage.
Mm-hmm.
I thought conservatism wasn't about transferring a tax from one method to another method. I thought conservatives shrunk government at every chance that they got. This is why I'm not understanding. I said, I don't understand what you're talking about. You're playing a clip of Art Laffer, who I've met and sat with at the Nashville airport and talked to him for a long period of time about economics. Very nice guy, very tiny guy, very tiny. Art Laffer, very small. Okay. Like 5. I don't want to get into it, but just, he looked like a little boy, Isaiah. That's how little he was. Okay? But I like Art Laffer. The Laffer curve, everybody knows Art Laffer and his ties to the Reagan administration. I like Art Laffer. But the argument was that this was a better form of taxation than income taxes. And I say to my conservative friends, do you want a better form of taxation, or do you want the elimination of taxation? What's conservative? Transferring taxes or eliminating taxes? I say eliminating taxes. So I would go to Carl and go, you're giving me a false choice here. I like consumption taxes better than I like income taxes. I do. I like consumption taxes better. However, that is not a choice that I want to have to make. I don't want to transfer taxes from one to the other. I want the Missouri government that has exploded the budget to look at it and go, do we need to fund these schools the way we do? Do the schools have too much money? When you're paying out a $1.2 million settlement to somebody in Wentzville, when you're paying $250,000 settlement to somebody in Francis Howell, is that good use of taxpayer money? No, it's not. Do you think our young kids are coming out of school just brilliant? Like, wow, look at what this education system in Missouri is doing for our kids. These teachers must be out of sight, baby. That's not happening. So when you say that you want to fund the school system, what I hear is you want to fund a charade. You want to fund things that are appealing to citizens because they think schools are, there are kids, kids are our future, Isaiah, as we all know. So therefore, we must always fund the school system at levels that are insane. I say no. I say that I say that anybody that is for A5, I would vote against. Anybody that is for A5, I personally, this is just my opinion. This is Rob Carter's show. It's my opinion. I would vote against them. I think A5 is a transfer tax versus an elimination of tax. And I don't think conservatives switch taxes. I think conservatives eliminate taxes. Is that fair, Isaiah?
That's what they do. 100%.
Do you see it different?
Nope. I've read The Conscience of a Conservative here by Barry Goldwater probably a dozen times, and that's what he says.
He says the same thing?
Yeah.
He does not agree with Grover
raising taxes.
What's it? Grover Norquist? I mean Grover Cleveland. Grover Norquist. The Republican Party in the state of Missouri thinks that Grover Norquist is like some mythical being when it comes to taxes. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Grover Norquist, who's an establishment hack and has been for a very long time, they put him out front like he's this genius guy that, and when he says this is the best way to do taxes, you have to listen to Grover Norquist. He's the smartest guy on taxes that has ever lived. More Grover Norquist. They chant his name like he's a superhero. Nobody cares. My Republican friends, nobody cares. What they want to see from you guys is real reform. Real reform is not transferring taxes from income to sales and usage. That's not conservative. Conservatism is the elimination and the shrinking of government. I know you're going to put in some form of your argument, and I know that many of you believe it, is you're going to put in some form of framework that ultimately holds government accountable. You can do that without suspending the Hancock Amendment and transferring revenue sources, in my humble opinion.
Wouldn't that would be like that seems like an oxymoron to say that you're going to suspend the Hancock Amendment to put a framework in, right?
Well, they say they're not, but they are.
I mean, just that seems that doesn't make sense, right? Oh, well, what about the framework that's already there, that's in place to make sure that the taxes we want raised, the citizens get a vote on? That's
right.
I feel like that's a great framework, don't you, Rob? I don't know.
I do.
Do you want to know about Carl Bearden? I know you mentioned him. So do you?
I don't know who he is. I understand he's from Florida. It appears to me that he has got some kind of financial.
He's a former Speaker Pro Tem.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, former Speaker Pro Tem, House Budget Chair from 2000. Yeah, House Budget Chair from 2003 to 2005. He's also the guy that Act for Missouri brings up all the time because he was big on the marijuana legislation because he owns a marijuana company called Hey Ya Wellness. And so very interesting that he would be pushing Amendment 5. And he's a Florida resident, Rob. How dare he? How dare he, right? How dare he speak to the Missouri politics? Who are you? You live in Florida.
Nobody's busting his balls. Have you noticed that?
Exactly.
They all bust me, but they never bust him. I don't get it.
He doesn't. He lives in Palmetto, Florida, it says, so not too far from you.
No problem with Carl Bearden. I don't know anything about him. I just would.
Because he's the former Speaker Pro Tem. That's why it matters.
I would guess that he has an incentive to pass A5 in the state of Missouri. That would be my guess. Don't know that. Just a guess.
Yep.
Next one is elections. I think that anybody who is against hand counting paper ballots, you have to ask them the question. This is what People's Lobby Missouri, when we're fully funded, we're going to give citizens the proper questioning, proper line of questioning, so they understand whether their government is working on their behalf or not. One of them is elections. Every single person that looks you in the eye and says, I want your vote, the first question should be, are you for or against machines in our elections? Do you want machines, tabulators and touchstone screens. Now, you don't have touchstone screens except for disabled people in the state of Missouri, but you have tabulating machines that have a software program that you don't have any idea about. So if they tell you that, tabulators are better, baby, they're so much more accurate than hand counting paper ballots. I was arguing with somebody on social media about this too, Isaiah. Somebody said, well, it's been proven that basically that tabulators do a better job of counting votes than people do by hand. And I said, well, yeah. I said, we all understand that a calculator is better than no calculator when you're adding things up, so long as the humans that put forth the algorithms didn't monkey with it. That's the whole point, dummy. Of course, we know that under normal circumstances, and if they were put together properly, they'd be better. We don't
How does
trust
Elon Musk know that the elections are done before everyone else does?
Exactly. We don't want the humans behind the computers to make the computers the scapegoat for elections that they can steal with no paper trail and no ability to check it. That's what we don't like. Again, I think that's fair, Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anybody that says they want electronic tabulators in our elections, out as far as Rob Carter is concerned. And then the last one is accountability. Okay. If we do not have accountability in our government, if the system doesn't hold itself accountable for putting forth unconstitutional bills, let's say, I would say that if you voted for a bill that is unconstitutional and the court strike it down as unconstitutional, the safeguard should be that you're kicked out of office immediately. That fair? Because the system doesn't have to be the way you design it to protect yourself. The system should be designed to protect the citizens from you. That's the entire idea of the Constitution in general.
Do you think that's one of their problems, why they don't want to do it, is because they're afraid of what would happen if their election gets looked into?
What's that?
Do you think that's a reason why people aren't motivated to look into elections, is because they think that if we say that they're fraudulent, then they would look into, maybe their election
100%.
and it could be fraudulent?
Don't you think
I mean, that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah. But think about it. If the law was you vote for a bill, because they're voting on bills they know are multi-subject bills, just for the first timers. Multi-subject bills are unconstitutional in the state of Missouri. So if I take a bill and I say that only people that are 6 foot tall can go out at night, that's the law. If you're above 6 foot tall, you can go out at night. Right? That's one of the laws. And then I say, except for this in the daytime. I've challenged my own law. I've basically hijacked my own law, and I'm making something else off the top of it that has something to do with lightness or darkness, but doesn't have anything to do with the original bill. That's a multi-subject bill. Not a great analogy, but you understand I was on the spot. It's the best I could do. Okay. So that is a multi-subject bill. When I think it was SB4, which one was the stadium bill? I don't remember which one the stadium bill was. Was that SB3, 2, 3, 4, whatever it was? We had multiple people come in and that I interviewed that were politicians. And I said, well, this is an unconstitutional law, period. It just is. What are you talking about? This is multi-subject. And then they voted for it, and then the court struck it down. So they're voting for bills to trick the citizens and go out and tell people, oh, look what we did. We did this great thing. But the part that was the great thing gets carved out, and you don't get that, and you get left with giving money to the Royals and the Chiefs. It's a con. It's a scam. Again, in my humble opinion. So if Rob were king, and Isaiah, I think we all agree that I should be queen. I mean, nobody says anything different than that. Obviously, I should be king. And if I were king, what I would do is I would say, listen, if you vote for a law that gets challenged and goes to the courts and it's overturned as an unconstitutional law, then you have to resign your office. And we're going to replace you within a month with a special election. You're gone. Because then all of a sudden you'd make the General Assembly pay attention to the Constitution, which is that's their guardrails. That's what they're supposed to be paying attention to. Not what they feel is the right thing to do, or this is what their mind tells them to do, or their heart tells them to do. That it's irrelevant. It's the Constitution. That is your guide. That's when you put your hand on that little thing that's called the Bible, right? This baby right here, Isaiah. When you put your hand on that, when you put your hand on the Bible, what you're supposed to do is make an oath that you're going to protect the Constitution. And when you don't, then you've broken your oath. And if you've broken your oath, then you should not be in office. Can I get an amen? Where's my amen?
Amen.
I want to get that thing from Coming to America. It's where they're up on stage. He goes, can I get an amen? I got to get that.
I'm trying to find Brian Wolfen's plaque that he has in his office because I just loved that. Basically how he votes. And it's it's kind kind of like an order of operations, right? And it's like, as a constitutionalist, like the number one, and he was telling us, he's like, well, unfortunately, they don't really make it past this first one, so I don't even get to assess the other steps.
Exactly.
And I think that's just a great way, as someone who's representing the people, to look at a bill, especially when they get just. He told us how they're overwhelmed sometimes with the information, and they got to figure it out before they go and vote on this.
Okay, so here's the next one. Okay, so so this person just put it in there. So this is Jan's. Okay, so let's pull up what Jan's had. I don't know who it is, but let's try to figure out who Jan's may or may not be. Okay, Isaiah, I sent you the post that they sent this morning. Okay, so now Jan's is telling me that I have to get my numbers ready to report Wolfen campaign contributions. Now I've given no monies to Bryant Wolfen.
We spent no money on Bryant Wolfen.
Spend the money on Bryant Wolfen. We interview Bryant Wolfen. We support Bryant Wolfen, but we don't spend any money with Bryant Wolfen. I don't know what Jan's is even talking about, but I guess we'll look it up. By the way, the treasurer, Jan's, we do whatever the treasurer tells us we can and can't do. That's how we make every decision. We don't do anything without the treasurer saying, yes, Rob, that's okay, because Jan's, whoever you are, we don't do things for money with People's Lobby Missouri. I've spent, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000 that I've lost for People's Lobby Missouri. We don't do anything money-wise, and your actions of raising money for him has a value which is required to be reportable. Okay, well, we'll do that too then. Whatever my treasurer tells me I have to do, we'll do it, Jan's. Okay, so I don't know how that would work if he raised money because he was on the show. I guess that nobody can have a radio show and say, tell us where to find you. That makes sense, I say? Nobody can do that?
I guess not.
Okay, and I guess, Jan, you'll have to tell me how much that value is. So for me to tell people that I'm interviewing that I agree, and does Ben Keithley? Because I told people to go to Ben Keithley's site. Does Ben Keithley I can do that too? Because I disagree with Ben Keithley on that. Do I have to? Is that same? Find out if it's the same for Jan's. Is it the same for Ben Keithley? I'd like to know.
Yeah. Do I have to do that for Ben Keithley too?
Is it the same for Ben Keithley? Do we need to report on Ben Keithley as well? Because he was on the show and I disagreed with Ben, but I told people where to go to send him money if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. We had a running donate now on the bottom of your screen saying donate to his campaign.
So we do that for everyone.
This is a show. This isn't.
Yeah. So should we?
This is the Rob Carter show. Jan's. It's the Rob Carter show. Not People's Lobby show. It's the Rob Carter show. I don't know if you can differentiate the two.
Differentiate there.
Right. People's Lobby is an advertiser on the show, and when People's Lobby supports somebody, we'll let you know. This is the Rob Carter show, and believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of people in People's Lobby who don't agree with me.
Yeah.
And if they win, they win. You understand what I'm saying? We have a board, and if the board outweighs me, then the board wins. It's not the Rob Carter show when it comes to People's Lobby. All right, now so you have it here?
Oh yeah, got it up ready for you.
So it says, Rob Carter, are you reporting your actions as campaign?
Whoever this is can't even spell your name right, even though I have it in front of them. That's crazy.
I think that was a backhanded slap. Okay. So Rob Carter, are you reporting your actions as campaign contributions to @Bryant Wolfen as you should according to campaign statute? Okay. Now let's go to Jan's and let's find out what Jan's is all about. Can we find out what Jan's is all about? Okay. So liberal losers. This is what Jan's believes.
Started in last month.
It had 10. So it started last month. It's out of Jefferson City. What's the capital of Missouri and where all the politicians live? Is that Jefferson City, Missouri?
Oh, yeah.
It is. It is Jefferson City. Now he has 10 people that are following, or 11 now. He had 10 when I looked at it this morning. Who are the followers?
Yeah. Larry Behrens.
Who's he?
No idea.
Okay. Seen on Fox News. So that tells me all I need to know about him. All right. And then who's the second one?
Jeannie C.
Jeannie C. All right. Don't know anything about Jeannie C.
Israel has a right to exist.
The people speaker. So this is interesting. So somebody that has 10 followers is followed by the former Speaker of the House. I find that very odd. I wonder why the Speaker of the House would be following somebody who has 10 followers. Victor Nieves, he does a show. I still think he does a show on 93.3. He's involved. Tammy Thompson. I don't know who that is. The Missouri Liberty Report. Who's that? Who's the Missouri Liberty Report? Or these people?
I think they're just a account.
Okay. Line Creek, what is that? Loudmouth? Line Creek Loudmouth. Interesting. All right. Show Me Sentinel. That's Oscar.
Yeah.
Show me. So somebody that is telling me I better be careful because the MEC is going to come after you, which they probably will. Didn't I always anticipate. How many times have I said that, Isaiah? The beauty of the Missouri government, which I'm running a check on because I'm just going to report these things. There's not much you can do to me. I mean, we've got $8,000 in there. They can have it all if they decide to do, right? About $8,000. So what we're doing is we're putting a check on the Missouri government to pressure them into obeying the Constitution. And then you have people that are associated with the People's Speaker, which is Tim Jones, and the Show Me Sentinel, which is aligned with Missouri. What is it? The Freedom Principle? Right.
Yep.
So it's that
and
group.
I think AFP and Missouri Promise too.
All right. They have 11 followers, and they're trying to intimidate me and threaten me, saying that I need MEC filings, which my treasurer will tell me what I can and cannot do. They're trying to intimidate me from I don't know what, but they're trying to make it look like I'm going to get into trouble with the MEC. I let you decide what's going on in Missouri politics. Okay? What do you think, Isaiah?
They are just trolling.
Well, I like that they're listening.
That's
I think
all awesome. That's all they're doing is trolling people online when you go and look at their replies. It's funny.
What do you think's going on with it?
I think that they're scared.
How do you have 10 followers? Yeah, how do you have 10 followers?
I think it's just they're terrified of what's going on.
Why?
When they go to all these town halls and they see that no one is supporting A5 and they need A5 to pass. And so if the people vote it down and they spent, I mean, I just saw today in the last couple of days, a few more millions of dollars went into Missouri Promise, Rob. So if they're spending 10, 15, who knows, probably $20 million by the time this is done, they paid all these companies who are paying social media influencers, right? You can go see how much they're paying for social media management. And then those companies pay these social media influencers to push it. So then they spilled this millions of dollars and then it doesn't pass. It's not really good for them, you know?
Well, if Jans, I wonder why he calls himself Jans.
I don't know either. Super interesting.
Liberal losers is what he's got on the front of it with the state of Missouri in blue. And then it says liberal losers in red and white. So it's, red, white, and blue. Liberal losers is what he calls it. And I would just ask Jans, how do you get Tim Jones to follow you so quickly, Jans? He's the former Speaker of the House. He's a very powerful person in politics who has his own radio show and drive time here in St. Louis, Missouri. Here we go. Let's find out here. Robb lives in income-free.
Yeah, he lives right down the street from Carl Bearden.
I know. I've said that, Jans. Everybody knows that. They always act like this is a secret.
I know. They're like, oh, we gotcha. Like,
I know. It's the most bizarre thing. I've been telling people from the
Robb
very
wears his
beginning
heart on his sleeve.
that I love Missouri. I was raised in Missouri. I went to school in Missouri. I coached baseball in Missouri. I raised my family in Missouri. I am a Missourian who lives in Florida because this is where my wife wants to live, and she's absolutely smoking hot, and I love her very much. Therefore, if she wants
the only
to
reason
live
we
in the
talk about
moon, I'll live in
Missouri-
the moon, but I'll still talk about Missouri because I have family in Missouri.
The only reason, and I'm glad that you're listening, Jan, so you can hear this, is the only reason we talk about Missouri politics so much is because we stopped talking about it so much, and then we had tons of people reach out to us to ask us to talk about it more. So we tried, but the people wanted it.
Yeah, we talk about Missouri politics because Missouri politics is very similar to politics all around the country. It's fake. It's filled with losers, not liberal losers, Republicans and Democrat losers, people with no spirit, people with no balls, people with no vision, people with nothing. That's what we've begun to notice. I see it from a corporate lens. I worked with some of the most talented people in the business world, period. Some incredibly talented people. And when I look at the government in the state of Missouri, I see a bunch of hacks, a bunch of bought out, sold loser hacks. That's what I see. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They are using the system to enrich themselves and their buddies, and that's what we see. I see the same thing in Florida, Jans, the exact same thing. I'm connected to the political system in Florida as well. Same thing. Same thing in Illinois. Same thing in Arkansas. Same thing in California. Same thing in Massachusetts. It's the same everywhere. It attracts narcissists who, because they're generally tiny in stature and tiny in mind, tiny in soul, and tiny in spirit, they think that they're taller and better looking because they have positions of power. Whereas the people recognize they have the power and they're going to shove it right up the bunghole of the people that are raping them on a day-to-day basis within these state governments. That will happen, Jans, just so you understand. People are tired of it.
Okay.
And the reason they're voting against A5 isn't because it may not actually be better. We don't really know because we don't know what you guys are actually going to do in the state of Missouri. But the
It's
reason,
like Scott Vaughn said, the guy who's pushing it for you, he said, I don't know if this is going to work.
Right. The people that are voting against it don't trust you. That's it. That's the reason. And you've earned your lack of trust because the people in the state of Missouri, especially the grassroots, have watched you manipulate them for far too long, and they've had it. They've had it. Republicans and conservatives don't add a gas tax. Franz, Hands, Lands, whatever your name is. Okay? That's not what they do. That's not what conservatives do. Conservatives don't carve out tax incentives for major corporations while jamming it up the bunghole of the small business person. Jans, Hands, Lands, whatever your name is. That's not what they do. That's not what conservatives do. Conservatives don't put a man like Jeffrey Winehouse in prison for something he obviously didn't do. And when it's brought to your attention that the man is sitting in prison who did absolutely nothing wrong and videotaped his own assassination attempt on him, they don't sit back and do nothing. Conservatives rise up and go, wait a minute, that's an injustice. We'll do something about it. Where are you, Jans? Where you at? You care about justice at all, Jans, or is it more about the pocketbook? That's what we want to know. Because if it's more about the pocketbook, let us know. There is no justice. Right, Jans? Because if Jans had an ounce of dignity, he would look into the case of Jeffrey Winehouse in Franklin County, watch the video that the man taped on a spy watch, recognize that he was railroaded, recognize an innocent man sits in prison for 30 years for something he clearly did not do because he videotaped it. Where's the fight, Jan? Do you care about those people, or it's not you, so you don't care? You're more interested in the way the taxes lay out and what method of taxation the people of Missouri should be taxed. That's more important to you than justice. Where are we at? Let's see what Jan's got to say. I like talking to Jan's today. I was busy working with 2 former termed out senators and Joshua Lehman last time, and now he's being paid by another hack. What's that got to do with anything? What's that got to do with anything, Isaiah? What's this got to do?
I had to run to the bathroom.
What's right here? I was busy working with 2 former termed out senators and Joshua Lehman last time, and now he's being paid by another hack. What's that got to do with anything? See what this is what skilled, I would call it skilled yet dopey politicians do. This is the way I see it. Skilled but dopey politicians get over on dopey people. You know, when you're dopey, other dopey people follow your lead. But when you're sharp, you recognize the techniques that dopey politicians who have no argument use to fool people that can't think straight. And one of the things they do is they never answer a question, and they constantly create a more conversation.
Ad hominem without
ever answering the question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we proponents of transferring taxes when it is my understanding that conservatives cut taxes? Why wouldn't you just put forth some 5-year program where we cut the taxes and we shrink the Missouri government? Don't conservatives want to shrink government, Jans? Isn't that what they want to do? And why would they put a framework to do it instead of just doing it? Just say, hey, Governor Kehoe, the conservatives in the state of Missouri don't like the overtaxation. They don't dig it. So what we need to do is take a look at our budget, which is now $50 billion. It was $26 billion as early as 7 years ago, and just say, this is the process we're going to use to cut taxes. Why don't we do that? I'm not I know, but you're agreeing with the I don't know who you are. We're simply saying you're agreeing with the politicians that are advising us to vote for certain things without even asking, is there a better method? Right, Isaiah? Isn't that what we're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well be a politician, because the major politicians in the Republican Party in the state of Missouri, this is what they're advocating for. They're advocating for, and you got, what do we got going on here? We've got Laura Trump. You've got Donald Trump Jr. now talking to Governor Kehoe. They're giving him airtime and pushing Amendment 5. This is a Republican Party initiative, the same Republican Party that had abortion eliminated in the state of Missouri and then put Mary Elizabeth Coleman, a former Democrat who you don't seem to care about that at all, a former Democrat, you put her in charge of running the abortion bill. And then she sabotaged her own bill, and it goes out to the voters, and now we have the most liberal abortion policies in all of America.
Mm-hmm. This is a great, this person, I've never seen this person comment before, so that's why I threw it up here. Bert Manny says, the reason I tune in to the Rob Carter Show is because it's the only informative show where you can get some truth about Missouri politics, is what they call it. I like that. The only place you will call out corruption in Missouri. Thank you, Rob Carter Show.
Thank you. I don't know who Vet Many is, but I agree with him 100%.
Yes.
We are here to fix the state of Missouri with the people that are willing to work with us. That's all. It's funny because the thing that makes the thing that makes me the most crazy, Isaiah, is we're getting pushback on people that say they agree with every word that we're talking about. These people privately agree with everything that you say. They say that they want to stop abortion in the state of Missouri, or stop it to a degree. You know what I mean? Look, there's many different shades of abortion, but they want to limit abortion as best they can. That's what they say they want to do. They had abortion eliminated. They say they want to cut taxes. Then they had the gasoline tax. They say they're going to follow the Constitution. And then they pass legislation that's multi-subject. They say they want to get rid of illegal immigration. Then Mike Parson comes out to St. Charles County and goes, that's a federal program. Nothing we can do about it here in the state of Missouri. Nothing we can do. When people see these things over and over and over again, they start to go, wait a minute, maybe our government is just not on the up and up with the voters. And if they're not on the up and up with the voters and they come up with a new scheme, maybe one that's really good, they're not. It's like crying wolf at some point. They don't trust it. And that's the situation you guys got yourself in as the Republican Party in the state of Missouri, is the people you need to get these amendments passed have no trust in the Republican Party. And I would ask, do you disagree? What do we got here? Jans. Now all of those Gail Griswolds who was registered Dem is now, okay, you're going to have to read that for me, Isaiah. I don't speak German.
Now all of those like Gail Griswold, who was a registered, it's a run-on sentence, so it's hard. Who was a registered Dem is now plowing loads of money into campaigns in her part to regularly give to Missouri Senate Democrats who are the same resharing Jake Jackson oh my gosh, man, pro-income tax tweet.
Hey, Jans, do you like Adam Schnelting? Because she gave $25,000 to Adam Schnelting. Do you like Adam Schnelting? Is he a liberal?
Yep.
Is Adam Schnelting a liberal? Jans?
Yeah.
Adam
I
Schnelting?
mean, what about Donald Trump?
Charles County that she gave $25,000 to? Is he a liberal?
Donald Trump, registered Democrat until 2009.
These people have I don't even know. I've never met Gail Griswold in my life.
It's called ad hominem attacks. They attack the character. They don't
have
an
abnormal obsession with this Gail Griswold person.
I know,
because I think she comes from Colorado, and at one time she was a Democrat, kind of like Donald Trump.
Yep. Yeah, in 2006, that's what I've seen. She was a registered Democrat in 2006. Rob, I think there's a lot of people that are part of the Republican Party that were registered Democrats back in 2006. A lot of leadership people. Pam Bondi, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure we could find many, not just those two. Those are just people that are just popping off the top of my head.
I like talking to Jans.
I do too. I do appreciate it because I appreciate the
Jans, let's see if Jans can answer one question. Jans, try to answer one question for me. Why would the Republican Party in the state of Missouri not put forth legislation or put forth an amendment that rids taxes versus transferring taxes? Not set up a framework. I understand where you're going to come with it, but we don't know how that's going to work. But she gave him $25,000.
Yeah, you just said that she's plowing loads of money. That was your accusation. She plowed $25,000 into Adam Schnelting. So what should we do with that?
What was the reason that Gail Griswold gave Adam Schnelting?
Yeah, don't deflect again. You're deflecting now, Jans. You're deflecting again.
This is the whole point. This is how you can see deception. And I love it that we get to see this.
And now
and they have 10 people that are following them. So these people are tied together. There's no way you get 10 people to follow some account that came up 2 days ago. You get to see the people that are in this game together and just answer that question.
Oh, guess he isn't. Oh, okay. Well, but she gave him $25,000. We got he's a Democrat.
He campaigned as a hardcore right-wing conservative. Why would she give him $25,000?
Yeah,
to get him elected. Why wouldn't she just get a liberal in there? Because
you see how your arguments break down with logic. She also fundraised for Bratton. That's right, and she let them keep the money that she could have got a refund on. Rob.
Jans, who are you? Do you want to tell us who you are? Be curious to know who Jans is.
I know. Hey, if you don't, you accuse people. That group of people always talks about people hiding behind anonymous accounts, Rob. So, and yet here they are.
Jans,
I guess they thought. I mean, I can understand their logic of like, if they're going to do it, we're going to do it. I get that. I do understand that.
I've been front center in everything that I do.
Yeah.
I put my name on everything. I put my face out in front of it. I do everything.
No, it didn't. I didn't say that it was required. They offered it to her, and she said, "No, you can keep it."
All right, I can't. Jans, I love you. I would love to know who you are. Number one, And I'm going to give you one more chance, just one question answer.
One.
Because you're messing up my show.
Without deflecting.
Yeah, without deflecting. Why did the state of Missouri not pass an amendment or try to get an amendment to be voted on that reduced the tax burden on the citizens of Missouri versus restructuring the way taxes are spent in Missouri to where they really don't know? Because the way I see it, Jans, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here because you sound very educated on what's going on in Missouri politics. Can't they just double tax for a little bit? Can't they say, wait a minute, we're going to find out how much tax revenue we're bringing in from the sales taxes that we've instituted, and then we'll see what that number is. At the same time, income tax hasn't changed. Aren't you getting double taxation for a period of time? Yay or nay?
Mm-hmm.
Jans.
We need the Jeopardy music again, Rob.
Let's see if Jans answers. Come on now. Not fair.
Did you see that John's only single vote would be for me? That's what he said.
That's Jan's only vote?
No, that's John's only vote.
Let me know if Jan's answers that question.
I
want to know, number one, why did this is just one question. I won't ask you anymore. If you could give us your name, that would be nice. But number two, why would the state of Missouri, if they're conservative, if you're fighting for conservatives, let's see if we got an answer here. See, this is what I mean. This is the argument they always make.
Yeah,
I'm asking,
we don't know what they're going to do, though.
We don't know what they're going to do. Your framework is anybody's guess. We don't know what their framework is. But for example, Jans, if you could list all,
I asked them and they said that they couldn't tell us. Yeah, I asked Representative Davidson.
Right.
I talked
to Jans, if you could list all of the services that are going to be taxed and at what rate, that would give us some idea of what you're talking about doing.
Jan S. Okay.
What's S for though? Jan S is like Elvis. We don't know what Jan S means.
Mm-hmm. Mid and Southern Missouri grassroots for over 40 years.
Okay. Then answer that question for us. You're still not answering. You're saying they're going to put forth a framework, but if nobody understands the framework, if it's just a guideline where you can be double taxed for a certain amount of time and then maybe come up with some new legislation 4 years from now, kind of changes things just a little bit, Jans. That's why it's not trusting. That's why you're not being trusted, or that's why the system is not being trusted. But you have to answer, why would they not put forth an amendment that says we are going to eliminate income taxes? Every time we raise revenue in the state of Missouri, it brings down the income tax, and we just get rid of income taxes. We don't replace the taxes. We get rid of the taxes. Why wouldn't they put forth something of that nature, I wonder? Isaiah, do you have any understanding why that might be?
Yeah, I was texting with my parents this weekend, and my dad is extremely, extremely intelligent. I'm like a 10th percent, maybe like 100th percent of how smart my dad is, because he's a aerospace engineer. He has a degree in computer science. He has a doctorate. He's very, very intelligent. And he evaluated everything about Amendment 5 himself. He even listened to a pro A5 town hall, and he came to the conclusion. He said, hey, this sounds good, but it is really a too good to be true, because they're asking us to trust them, and they haven't really done anything that I can say I trust you. And he's a very unbiased person, Rob. He's not someone who's going to play the party lines or vote for something just because that's what a party wants. He's going to do his research, and he's going to know the answer and tell you why. And it was really cool to see that he came to that conclusion, because obviously I respect his viewpoint a lot because he's my father, but that's just his. He texted me that, it's like, that's so cool to see that people are understanding that, you know what I mean?
It's so funny. It's so funny that the people are starting to figure this out. So Jan's, I'm not going to go on with Jan's. This will be the end of it. I think he's messed up my show, or she's messed up our show, but I'll just say, Jan's, here's where I'm coming from, because you keep talking about Florida. I've made this commentary many, many times. I moved to Florida because of the income tax. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we're also saying cutting income tax isn't, we're not saying it's bad.
We want income taxes gone. We just don't like the method. That's what you're not understanding. We're down with getting rid of income taxes. We're all for getting rid of income taxes. We hate income taxes. We hate property taxes. I like consumption taxes. I just don't like what you're doing with this, because you've exploded the budget to over $50 billion. And now you're going to come in and tell us how you're going to fund $50 billion when we want the elimination of the $25 billion that you put on the back of us because you didn't handle your business. And you never handle your business in the state of Missouri. Haven't for years. And then you blame it on the Democrats when you've had a solid majority for 20 years. It's just absurd and ridiculous and silly. and everybody sees it now. And people aren't guessing anymore. It's not that we're going to go out and vote for Democrats.
Yeah.
I don't align with anything the Democrats do for the most part. I just don't see the world through that lens. I see it through a conservative libertarian lens. I don't see it through that lens. But that doesn't mean that the methods, the options that you're giving me are any good, because they're not. Rat custom coatings.
Yes.
I'm gonna skip People's Lobby.
Just want to end with this with Mike Compton. He said Grover and Art were the guys behind the disastrous attempt to eliminate the income tax in Kansas, and now they have this new plan and a promise that this new plan in Missouri will work. Is that a bet we want to take?
No. And nobody wants to take it. You can kind of see that all across the state of Missouri. Nobody wants to take it. But I did leave the state of Missouri because of income taxes. I went through a divorce.
Yeah.
I had a certain amount of money that I had to pay my ex-wife, and I was perfectly fine with paying it. Then I lost 1/3 of my salary. And I said to my wife, the woman I was engaged to, I said, I don't know what to do here. I said, because I don't know that I can handle supporting 2 homes. I would have had to have a home in Florida and one in Missouri because my wife lived in Florida. And I said, I can't pay. This will save me around $20,000 at the time just to move to Florida. And I had a obligation to my family that I had to pay them money. So that is why I moved to Florida from Missouri. So I understand the income tax argument very well. It affected my life, and I've talked about it from day one.
Mm-hmm.
The question isn't whether we want to cut income taxes, Jans. It's what you're not understanding. The question is the method by which you're using to eliminate income taxes. That is what we don't like. There's too much gray area. There's too much distrust. And again, I ask, why wouldn't we just put forth a method to get rid of income taxes? Why do we have to transfer taxes to sales and usage without knowing which businesses you're going to tax?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That's all we're saying. Okay. Rack custom coatings. Let's start.
People's Lobby first.
You want to do People's Lobby first? And then I'm going to do Rack, ECS, Carrington, and Jones. Rack, ECS, Carrington, and Jones. This is how I get paid, Jans. I get paid by advertisers. That's how we roll. We don't do anything else. We don't take money for anything other than agreeing. And this is the one thing I do have to say, Isaiah, because it's happened to me recently. People have wanted to give me money for positions I already have.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand that, when politicians are taking money, but they agree with it. And how do you refute that? If somebody wants to give you money to hold on to a position that you already have, I can't really find fault with that. Can you? I'm trying to think,
No.
It's hard for me to, because it's happening.
Yeah, that's different. I feel like that's supporting, right? I don't know. I don't know how I necessarily feel about it, but I just think about the Michael Burton situation where someone was coming to give him a check of $1,000 to get him to vote a different way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like that's the lobbying. That's what's going on, is that you might be over here in this camp, but then this person comes along with the check and they say some nice, sweet nothings in your ear, make it all sound good. It's like, oh, well, that sounds good enough. Yeah, I guess I could support that. Yeah. Go ahead and donate that check to my campaign. No problem.
Give it to me. All right. RackCustomCoatings.com. Again,
People's Lobby Mo.
I have a quick question.
Big club.
Thank
How'd that happen?
That was awesome.
All right. PeoplesLobbyMo.com. PeoplesLobbyMo.com. Again, this is what we try to get done at People's Lobby Mo. Jans, you should join. If you're a real grassroots person, this is what we do. We take a look at the malfeasance in the Missouri government, the voting on multiple subject bills, number one, elections and not having true election security in the state of Missouri, number two, taxation schemes, we look at number three. We like constitutional sheriffs. These are the things that we focus on at peopleslobbymo.com. Peopleslobbymo.com ultimately is we try to pull money together and we use it for marketing ideas that try to get people organized to fight their government, to say, we don't like what you're doing. We think it should be done this way. We're not down with that. And the idea is to create enough pressure through phone calls, people showing up at the Capitol, people putting enough pressure on the General Assembly in Jefferson City to where the pressure from the citizens outweighs the pressure from the lobbyists. It's really not much more complicated than that we are a marketing operation. We are trying to get people organized. We market and say, look, these are the problems that we see. If you agree with us, join People's Lobby Mo. Donate. We're looking for small donations. We look for $5 and $10 donations. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for small donations. Ultimately, over the course of the next how many ever years, we'd like to get about 10,000 donations at $5 a piece. But we got to market for that, right? We got to spend money to make sure people know who we are. But if you go and donate, we pool the money. We tell you what we're going to market with it, and we begin the process of sharing information with citizens of Missouri to have a say in their government. Because right now it appears to me, Jans, that we don't really have a big say in our government. If the Speaker of the House is chosen before the Speaker of the House is even reelected, I think that tells us all we need to know. Don't you, Jans?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that Jans, the person's coming after me? Don't you think that makes perfect sense? That if the Speaker of the House, as a Republican in the state of Missouri, is chosen in advance of not whether the speaker's good. It might be the greatest speaker in the history of the world, the most handsome and the most beautiful person ever in the history of the world. But does it make sense that we would pick the Speaker of the House, the one who determines all legislation that comes in and out of the House? Why would we pick that person in advance of that person even being reelected unless it was to protect business interest? Why would we do it? Because unless it's to protect contracts and business interest, it doesn't make any sense. And everybody that understands what's going on knows that to be the case. And when we talk to people, they don't know it. So that's one of the objectives of People's Lobby Mo, is for them to understand how the system works. Because right now they don't understand how the system works. peopleslobbymo.com, peopleslobbymo.com. Join us. Donate if you can. If you can't, just sign up so that we can stay in contact with you. peopleslobbymo.com. All right. And then we got Rack Custom Coatings, Isaiah.
Now you can get to it.
Oh, I can get to him. I told you he's got too much power over me. RackCustomCoatings.com, RackCustomCoatings.com. This is our good friend, Rich McQuay. I'm trying to get him more business because I love what he does. Flooring is incredibly expensive. So if you have a retail environment, if you have a plane, if you have a hangar, I don't know how many people have planes anymore, but I know a few people that listen to the show that have planes. If you are somebody that makes determinations on industrial flooring, you name it. Epoxy looks great. It lasts forever. You can put designs on it. He was showing me, he was, I think, out of Duchesne High School, and he was showing me some of the work that he was doing at Duchesne. It's amazing. I had it done on my garage. It's fantastic. RackCustomCoatings.com, locally owned and operated since 2001. You can reach him at 636 398 5040, 636 398 5040, RackCustomCoatings.com. How about ECS Roofing and Exterior? Have you seen some of the commercials he's putting out, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
He is killing it. I don't know who's doing that for him, but he is putting out some of the best commercials on social media. They're hilarious. He's got a great sense of humor. Another reason I probably like him so much. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. Again, this is our general contractor for the show. So roofing is where he specializes at. Great pricing, great quality, been around for 30 years. This is Larry Evans at ECS Roofing and Exteriors. There you go. Over 30 years in construction, roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metals, residential or commercial. The big benefit to ECS Roofing and Exteriors is he does the insurance inspections as well. So if he tells you that insurance companies are going to work on your roofs, he knows what he's talking about, and you can rely upon it, whereas other roofing companies might not be so upfront with you. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, over 30 years in construction. When it's time for a new roof, it's always ECS Roofing. 314-486-3567. 314-486-3567. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. Carrington Financial. My man, Rick Bavitz, your caringadvisor.com. This is Rick Bavitz. He does the financial work for me and my wife. I suggest you give him a call if you are nearing retirement or have money to protect or money to grow. You should be getting the opinion of this genius, Rick Bavitz. Rick Bavitz is somebody who understands the currency, the history, he's just a very well-read guy. So when you get an opinion about your money from Rick Bavitz, you're getting a very well-educated opinion. Rick Bavitz, 314-671-0525, 314-671-0525. Biblical principles with your money. My man, Rick Bavitz. Get a second, get a third, get a fourth opinion. Doesn't matter how many you get. Just get the opinion of Rick Bavitz. 314-671-0525. Your caringadvisor.com. And then we got Jones Water. He's got just a few more days. He's running a special for you. Again, if you're drinking tap water in the year 2026, you shouldn't be. If you wonder why you get sick all the time, wonder why you get any skin issues, respiratory issues, stuffed up sinuses, it's because you don't drink clean water and you're not breathing fresh air at your home or business. You got to get these things taken care of. This should be job number one for a safe home, safe, happy, healthy home. JonesWater.com. You'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. If you're buying the April air purification systems, he's going to give you $250 off through the end of this month to celebrate our 250th anniversary. Same thing with the water filtration system. It's a one particular system that he's given money off of that I can't find what he gave me. I'm sorry, Everett. You'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter, joneswater.com. If you want to do business with Everett on the Missouri side, it's St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. If you go to the east side, the dark side, Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair, joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. All right, Isaiah. What else do we got? I think that kind of runs through Missouri politics. I wanted to tie some things together here, but I think I got pretty much all of it done. We talked about Jans. We talked about the flock cameras just a little bit. Can we talk about just a little bit more fakeness? Because that's the title of the show, The Illusion of Primary Season.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk just for a second. Where is it? Let's do number 7 for a minute. Now, AI is something I'm getting more and more concerned with because I spend a lot of time on AI. Do you spend a lot of time on AI? My son was telling me where he works, they're saying, Tanner, you need to learn all of these AI systems for this, that, and the other. I'm very skeptical of AI when it comes to politics. I check what it says on AI against what I know, and oftentimes it's wrong. It's probably more wrong than it is right because you got to remember how AI is working. These algorithms take the information that comes out from all the major media outlets, Fox News, CNN, ABC, all the major outlets, and then it compiles an opinion and shares it with you as though it's truth when it's not true. It gets the premise of bills wrong. It tells you things that are not true all the time in AI, but people are now beginning to use it for just about everything, and they think AI has all the answers for them. It becomes their brain. They don't have to think anymore. It's just one source, AI. Would you agree with that, Isaiah? Grok and what's the other one? Claude. They have several of these systems where human beings are just starting to take this as their only source. They're not checking AI. Once AI tells them this is what it is, that's the end of it. And I think it's very dangerous. Let's talk about Fauci for just a second, because one of the things People's Lobby Missouri is into is accountability. Now, it appears that Rand Paul is beginning to expose Dr. Anthony Fauci. But we all know what's going on with Anthony Fauci. We all know it from the book that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote about Anthony Fauci. This is a terrible, terrible, narcissistic monster, Dr. Darth Fauci. And here is Mel Gibson. This is a while back. Mel Gibson on the Joe Rogan show talking about Dr. Darth Fauci. Check this out.
Talking about before that there is good and evil.
Yeah.
And sometimes it manifests itself in a very clear and obvious way. And I think that's what that was. That was evil. That was putting people's lives second and putting money first.
Well, I don't know why Fauci's still walking around.
How is that guy still walking around?
I don't get it.
If just people understand the history of the AIDS crisis and what that guy did back then.
Did you read that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the book. I listened to it.
Yeah, I did too.
I drove up to San Francisco and I listened to it and I had road rage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, whoa, how is he still there?
First of all, people that don't believe it, how come RFK Jr. didn't get sued?
Yeah.
Exactly.
How come there's no lawsuits? If there was lies, there would be lawsuits.
No, but that's
He would be publicly humiliated. Instead, they kept that book off bestseller lists. That book sold millions of copies.
I know.
They hid it. That's when you find out that bestseller lists are actually curated. It's not really bestseller.
It's censored. It's all censored.
Yeah.
Everything's censored.
It's all censored.
But that book is an accurate depiction of what Anthony Fauci did during the AIDS crisis, which probably was an AZT crisis.
Yeah, and
more
now
than it was an AIDS crisis.
I mean, it's fairly incontrovertible now that he was fooling with gain of function.
100%.
And you know, it's why is he still around?
Right.
Or at least free.
Right. And no repercussions.
Yeah, whatever happened to that story where, the wombat and the weasel got together and they were horsing around and a bat pissed on him with a golden shower. With, it's like, and all of a sudden it was in a wet market.
Yeah.
Very wet market. You got,
complete total horseshit. And
totally.
The scientists that we're supposed to trust
are
pitching that horseshit.
It was like the AIDS thing. Some green monkey bit a Qantas steward on the ass. Then he went around the world and got everybody sick. And it was like, ridiculous.
If you want to go to the AIDS rabbit hole, look up a guy named Peter Duesberg.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah.
I read that book.
Yeah, that is crazy. Because if he's telling the truth, this is the fucking COVID crisis times 1,000.
Sorry for the cursing. I forgot about some of the cursing there. This is what I'm talking about. This is why there's no trust in government and why people. I don't understand why people prop it up, Isaiah. I honestly don't understand it. How can you live in a world where a guy came out and told you that these genetic therapies dressed up as vaccines were going to be safe and effective and went on every news station for months, if not years, and lied to the American people, and everybody that really understood what was going on at the time knew that he was lying. We knew that he was lying. It's like anything else. You happen to have some inside information to where you know this person is lying, and yet they go on their televisions every day and lie to unsuspecting viewers and get away with it. And then when it's all said and done and you think there's going to be some repercussions, there's nothing for Dr. Anthony Fauci. If you followed AIDS, you know why I followed AIDS, Isaiah? Ever tell you the story?
Mm-mm.
So the AIDS story, the reason I started to follow Dr. Anthony Fauci, because he became a key figure when Magic Johnson got AIDS. When I was a kid, I loved basketball. If you look at my finger right there, you see that right there, Isaiah? See that pinky?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
the pinky is from being dislocated so many times playing basketball that I just gave up on it. Okay, that's what happened to the finger. I was a big basketball fan, played a lot of basketball. And when Magic Johnson got AIDS, I want to say I was like 21 years old at the time. And it blew my mind because Magic Johnson had this aura of being this big 6'8", incredible athlete, winner, great smile. Everybody loved Magic Johnson at the time. And then I thought he was going to shrivel down into a raisin and die.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what everybody thought was going to happen. He was just going to shrivel up and die. But he didn't. But when that was going down, I started paying attention to AIDS. I'm 21 years old. This is if you're having unprotected sex, you could get AIDS at any moment and everybody was going to die. This was the kind of fear campaign that was going on. And what I learned about Dr. Darth Fauci all the way back in those days and why it started, that's why his name was stuck in my head when he came back around for COVID. The reason his name was stuck in my mind because there was a lot of controversy about Dr. Darth Fauci all the way back to the AIDS days. And the controversy was that AZT, which is what he was pushing, just like he was pushing remdesivir. Let me just make this correlation real fast, Isaiah. I don't know if you know this, but Dr. Darth Fauci, when he started talking about remdesivir, which was a toxic agent that was originally put forth to solve cancer problems, when he came out, he said you'd spend about 38% less time in hospitals if you used remdesivir. That was the argument. Okay. AZT was the same situation. Toxic agent. Couldn't get it through the FDA. And they marketed it so that, just like they did the COVID genetic therapies, you got to get it quick. You got to, as soon as it comes available on the market, get in line you got to get your COVID shot. Well, they did the exact same thing with AZT. It's the exact same script that they used in 1991. It's exactly the same exact thing that they used back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. What they did is they said, if you have any chance of survival, you need to get AZT. AZT is the drug for people that have contracted HIV. So everybody went out that was, especially gay men, they went out and they got AZT. Well, if you watch the movie Dallas Buyers Club, you start to learn that AZT is what was killing these people. Donald Trump said it. He said the cure can't be worse than the disease. He said it over and over and over again at the beginning of the COVID con job. So that's indicating that he understands the history of Dr. Darth Fauci. The cure cannot be worse than the disease itself. Well, it was. And it was with AZT, HIV, and AIDS. Dr. Fauci has done some of the most horrific things that any human being on the planet can do. Do you think that Donald Trump was unaware that Dr. Fauci was putting cones on the top of beagles' heads and letting insects eat their faces away and then cut their larynx out so they didn't have to listen to him barking? Do you think that Donald Trump didn't know that? You don't think he knew? It was pretty big news. And if he knew, why are people not upset about it? Which is what I'm going to get into in just a bit, because I'm losing faith in the people that are supporting Donald Trump until the bitter end, when he may be doing some good things. He said did something over the weekend, Isaiah. I said I don't pay attention to it at all anymore. It's just so ridiculous. It's so much theater to me that
Trump 2028.
I feel stupid even paying attention to it. So I just don't pay attention to it. Okay. But not having accountability for those things is mind-boggling to a normal thinking person. If it's not in your head right now that this is absolutely insane, then you are brainwashed. That's what happened. Or you're a sociopath or a psychopath. Dr. Darth Fauci ran the same game in AIDS as he did with COVID, the exact same rollout, the exact same fear campaign, the exact same unverified concoction of medicine that everybody had to have to save themselves from this crazy HIV and this unbelievable COVID disease that came from a bat in a wet shop in China. It was all orchestrated theater. Everybody that listens to this show already knows that. But the question we have to ask ourselves and our neighbors and our friends is, why no accountability for Dr. Darth Fauci? What is going on? Why is he not being held responsible for that? Why are the people involved in the FDA and the NIH, why are they not being held responsible? Why isn't Fox News and CNN and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and Donald Trump, why aren't they being held accountable for something that everybody knows was a scam? And then we're going to go back out and determine what's going to happen in the primaries, like somebody could possibly care. Both sides are doing this to you. They're creating an illusion. This is no different. It doesn't change. You're not voting your way out of this. And you can see that by the track record. How can Anthony Fauci not be in prison? That's what you have to ask yourself. Knowing what you know now, how can he not be in prison? It defies all logic. Isaiah, am I getting anything wrong yet?
Nothing yet.
Not so far so good. All right. I just want to throw that out there because it's if the title of the show is The Illusion of Primary Season, it is meant to get your attention because the illusion of voting your way out of what we're involved in right now at the federal level is a farce. It's embarrassingly stupid at this point. And when we go to DC, we got to go to DC soon, Isaiah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we only have 4 weeks left and then they're out.
You want me to put something together today for us?
Sure. Yeah. In August they're out. They leave and then they're done for the rest of the year. So
why don't we do a People's Lobby Missouri event 3rd week of August, and then you and I will both fly from St. Louis to DC. Is that fair?
Yeah, we can try. Well, we got to ask the people first. We can't just throw it on them. We got to ask if they're available for the event.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. We got to make sure that people are available for the event, and then we'll put out the date.
Okay. We have to get there, though. We have to get in there, and we got to start asking some questions. And I think people are going to be fascinated by the questions because we're going to, like I said, we'll just stand outside their office. They have to come out. They can't be in there forever. There's no secret way out of their offices. They have to come out of their offices to go to lunch. They have to come out of their offices to go to.
There's no secret passageways from their office to the house floor.
Exactly. They have to pass the press. There's certain people like Josh Hawley and Eric Burleson and Schmidt and Wagner. They're people that we want to talk to from the state of Missouri. I'd like to talk to AOC. I'd like to talk to some of these people and get the measure of them, because when you stand before somebody and talk to them, it is a different vibe, right? You get to see who they really are. And I think there'll be some very good conversations that come out of our next trip to Washington, D.C. Let's go to this. Let's go to clip number 15. What is the name of the woman that does Meet the Press? Welker? Kristen Welker, I think it is. She does Meet the Press.
Not sure. I don't watch the mainstream media.
I don't either, but I just happen to know she is. So check out this clip number 15, because what we're talking about is the fakeness of it all, the theater of it all. And I really want people, I know that everybody here that listens to the show on the regular understands what we're talking about, but you've got to share the information. You can't be afraid to share the information. People were telling me the other day, Isaiah, a couple people told me, I said, man, I don't like sharing your stuff sometimes because it says Zionism this, or it says Israel this. And I just I don't want that heat. They did. And I said, I know, but you gotta, I'm just hoping that the people that follow the show have enough cojones to where it doesn't bother them. You got to have a little bit of courage every now and again. Now, if you have a business and you're worried that this is going to affect your business, which would affect the way you raise your family and so forth, I do understand it. And maybe we'll soften the thumbnails.
They tried to come after you at the radio show to undercut your business even. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll soften the thumbnails just a little bit, but I want to get the point across on all these different issues because they do tie together. It does paint a picture of the totality of the con job that is being perpetrated on the citizens of this country. It's just disgusting. Clip number 15 was put out by Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald is a reporter. I happen to think he's a good reporter. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I think he's a good reporter. And he shows a video of, I think it's Kristen Welker. Let me look her up. Kristen Welker does Meet the Press. It's a Sunday show that's been around for 50 years now. And when I started recognizing that prominent Republicans like Donald Trump were taking interviews with her, remember when Donald Trump walked off the thing?
Yep.
Well, somebody in the Donald Trump campaign remind him that these reporters that go to Harvard are intel assets. Somebody remind him. If he doesn't know yet, just remind them that the Catherine Herridges of the world, the Kevin Corks of the world, the Kristen Welkers of the world, these are intel. Who's the albino that's on CNN? Is that guy's name? Anderson Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are intel assets. Joy Reid. I could go on and on. They're intel assets. Why would you give them any mind? And why would you even give those forums any information when you know that they're fake? Why would Donald Trump call a news organization's fake and then go on and take interviews with the people that are on fake news? Isaiah, can you explain that one to me, please?
Don't know. Yeah. Did you see that you didn't watch the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but someone got an award that was reporting on the Epstein files and showing how Trump and I think it was, I can't remember if it was the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, one of those major outlets. It was a journalist that President Trump hated and attacked, and then she got a award at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Exactly.
He's like, oh, what can I do? You know, he goes and shakes everyone's hand, and he's like, what can I do? You know,
it's total theater. It's obvious theater. That's what's so frustrating for people that just want to tell me that I'm crazy and I just got to support Donald Trump, and I'm, like, wait a minute, none of this stuff makes any sense. You're making sense of it because, it's like even when Rick Babbitt comes on, he's doing this, he's doing that. But Rick Babbitt, to his credit, said in the last interview we did last week on Thursday, he said, but that doesn't mean the system that they're putting in is it going to be worse than the one that we have now. And I said, wait a minute, let me get my bell out real fast, Isaiah, because I went, that makes sense. That's what we are getting into. We're getting away from the system that we're in now to digital currency and digital surveillance and digital monitoring of every man, woman, and child. That's what we're moving towards. And that's what Donald Trump and his administration are putting forth with Palantir. That's why you have a Palantir VP and a Palantir president. It's not hard to figure out.
Mm-hmm. That's what I told my
mom. Hard to
She
understand.
said,
it's simple.
She sent me a text over the weekend. My mom texted me and she sent me a video. It was about flock cameras. And she said, they're saying everything that you say. Like in this video, they're saying everything that you say. And it's, people are starting to wake up. Not everyone is so asleep. You know what I mean? Not everyone and even to Kurt's, I took it down, but even to his comment here, right? The 93.3 people were against the data centers. Now they're fine with them. And it's all coming back to whatever President Trump says. Yeah, I guess because President Trump came out and is supporting them. Right. And what I always go back to is what you always talk about is who is the first people that he went in after he was just elected. What was the first press conference that he held?
Sam Altman and Larry Ellison.
Yeah. And so I just reminded her of that, and so it's all tied together if people, and I'm glad that we can tie that together for people, but sometimes it's just so many narratives and things flying at us that we aren't able to see it. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Play Glenn Greenwald real fast because people will see Kristen Welker. They'll see her face. Now listen. She's.
I had the tweet because I didn't know if you want because the video was just you can't hear anything, so I just pulled the whole tweet for this one. So it just says these media personalities pretend on TV to hate Trump as a fascist, racist new Hitler, but they eagerly put on their finery to go to the White House to giggle with him and his closest aides. It's all theater. They're far more incestuous than adversarial.
And there they are. Is that Stephen Miller she's talking to?
Yep.
She's in there. She's in there fun bunching it with Stephen Miller. There they are. Look at her. That's Kristen Welker. She does Meet the Press on NBC. Can you go to Wikipedia and look up Kristen Welker?
Yep.
Okay. Zero talent. Just remember that, everybody. Zero talent. You got to remember, if somebody is good, you're going to want to watch them. Like, who's got talent in media nowadays? I think the most talented one is Alex Jones. You don't have to like him. I'm just talking about the ability to keep an audience's attention for 3 hours every day. He's still, in my opinion, Joe Rogan is incredibly talented. Kristen Welker isn't.
Sean
Ryan's very good. He does an hour. It doesn't count.
Yeah. But his ability to ask the questions.
Right. But a baby could do an hour. I can do an hour.
Right. It's like
I can do an hour.
I did an hour on the radio by myself and I'd never done it before.
Do 3 or 4 hours. Let me know how, you know what I mean? Do 3 or 4 hours and keep a conversation going to where people are interested. Not easy. Okay, Kristen Welker. There she is. Let's find out where she went to school, Isaiah. Can we pull it over?
Right there. I tried to.
Where'd she go?
Education. Harvard.
Because all great journalists want to go to Harvard, Isaiah. All great journalists. And then end up on MSNBC.
That's right.
Right? And then you have Donald Trump who, hates NBC and speaks out against NBC, but then does a sit-down I can't get a sit-down interview with Donald Trump because I'd ask him some very difficult questions, but Kristen Welker can get it because she's on Meet the Press from Harvard. Mm-hmm. And they supposedly hate each other. And then he storms off, and everybody goes, "Oh, he stormed off. He hates Kristen Welker." And then you see him or her fun bunching with Stephen Miller, his right hand, at this correspondence dinner. It's just so ridiculous. I just wish people would see it. I'm gonna keep trying, Isaiah, every day. And I know it gets a little bit I drive you crazy, but I can't help it. If we don't talk about it, then it's never gonna change. Can we do a couple more advertisers real fast?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Rocket Careers. I think Mitch, he sent me some great videos last night. I don't know if I saved one of them for you, but Mitch is into the child trafficking story, the Jeffrey Epstein stories, and so forth. He sent me some really good videos on social media the other day. I'm getting to you, Mitch. I didn't forget about Jeffrey Epstein and the like. I got you.
Oh yeah.
He had some really. He kept all of that information. Isaiah kept all of it, and I mean, when you go back and listen to it now, and you realize the lead up to the Jeffrey Epstein case is so overwhelming, it blows your mind as to what was going on. And people just forgot about it because Donald Trump said, "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Who cares about Jeffrey Epstein? That loser. Who's paying attention to him?" No, I don't know. The 43 girls that were sexually assaulted by him that got away with it, that's why they're still talking about him. Because 43 little 15-year-old girls, I don't know if you have a 15-year-old daughter, Isaiah, but if you have a 15-year-old daughter and some billionaire is raping them for $200 in his house, some fathers might care. Some fathers might be concerned about that. I would be. Isaiah, would you be worried about that? You have a daughter.
Yeah. I protect her everywhere we go with my life. I see her walk out the front door, heading to the road. And I sprint out the front door to grab her before she can get to the road.
100%. And what should be the penalty? What should be the penalty of a 40-something-year-old man raping a 15-year-old girl? 43 of them. What should be the penalty? Now, for me, I put them out on the highway and I let semis roll over them all day long as people clap like this. But that's me. I'm not king yet. When I'm king, this is what we'll do to these people. But what he got was he's got this big mansion, and Alex Acosta, who said we can't touch him because he's a part of the intelligence agencies. Alex Acosta. Where's Alex Acosta from? Isaiah, do you know where he's from?
No.
Look up Alex Acosta real fast, because Alex Acosta is the one who Alex Acosta, he was the labor secretary under Donald Trump. He is the one that when he was prosecutor down in South Florida, he's the one that gave the sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein, who wore the Harvard shirt around all the time. He's the one that gave the sweetheart deal. It's almost like they knew that if he got in trouble in that particular town, that Alex Acosta would be the guy to take care of the situation, if you understand what I'm saying. What he got was for raping 43 little girls. What he got was a year of having to sleep in his $50 million home. What a horrible thing. Where'd that person go to school? Would you read that for me real fast, Isaiah?
Earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from Harvard University.
It almost like
did Harvard Law School.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
You and I are not in the big club. It's amazing, Isaiah, how they kind of tie together at times. Isn't it just kind of crazy how that works? Amazing. So for raping 43 girls and being dead to rights, 43 girls testifying, everybody knows the information. He had to sleep in his $50 million mansion in South Florida every night for a year. Amazing.
Punishment.
Rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. Like, share. Damn it. Make me ask you again. Like,
send this to Jan.
Oh, you know what I need to, Isaiah? I don't know how many people go through the entire 3 hours, but if you're listening, I gotta start bringing this up. Will you please go to Spotify and leave a comment or a review? Good, bad, or indifferent. Jans, you can tell me how much you hate the show and how you really want to get rid of income taxes. Rob is a moron, doesn't know anything about politics, and gets everything wrong. You can put that on there too. It's fine. But if you would go to Spotify and just leave comments, I need those comments. I need those comments on there, good or bad, doesn't matter. But if you're a daily listener, please go to Spotify and then The Rob Carter Show, and then just leave a comment. If you already heard the show, you don't need to go back and listen to it again, but you can leave a comment as to why you like or don't like the show, what kind of information you get, what kind of information you wish you got, whatever. Because we need those comments. I need those comments. I want to start to market our show, and I want to know what people think about what's going on. And there's not a lot of places you can comment and tell people about your shows. Spotify is one of them. Fair?
Yep.
Isaiah?
Or Facebook.
Or review.
You can comment right now wherever you're watching too, please. Facebook.
Let's review.
YouTube. Yeah, review. Yeah, reviews on Spotify. Yes.
And those stick. I want those reviews. I want those reviews to stick because they hold them for you. I had so many good reviews on the original podcast, and I thought it would be there forever. And then I lost like the first 12 episodes, and it really irritates me. I'd like to have those back. So I want to keep these this time. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you would leave.
We'll find them and we'll release them on YouTube for members only eventually once we set up the memberships.
Bill had a members only jacket. Papa Bill on there.
I did too. I lost a members only jacket that I had. I had it for so long, and I lost it when I was moving back from college, and I was so mad because it was from like 1984 or something. And
He saw the lead singer of Kool and the Gang wearing it back in the early 1980s, and then he went out and bought one. He knows what I'm talking about. Rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. Again, this is for all the small and medium-sized businesses out there who either have a human resources department that doesn't quite get the job done, or they don't have a human resources department at all because it's just too expensive. When you need good employees, when you need somebody to do the right job for you, do it the right way, and do it based on your business practices, you got to get a hold of somebody who can vet these candidates for you and has a network from coast to coast. Your business is not going to have these kind of connections. It's just not going to have it. So if you value having great employees, then you got to get a hold of rocketcareers.com. They specialize in small to medium-sized businesses. It's not the big corporate thing. If you get into that, that's your own deal. I don't know why you'd be listening to our show if you're into that. But if you're into the small business, somebody that I know, somebody that I've known since high school will actually care about you and your business, you got to check out rocketcareers.com. If you're trying to hire, rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. Our good friends, Mitch and Brian. And as always, we try to remind people, if you're out of work or hate your job, if you just can't take another day of it, remember, there's always help at rocketcareers.com. They will help you with your resume. They'll just connect you to the right people so you can navigate this crazy world and help yourself launch a new career. Rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. You can reach them at 636-778-2419, 636-778-2419. And then we got Valvoline Express Care. You should have gotten your oil change over the weekend. That's what they tell me most people do, is get their oil changes over the weekend. But if you have not gotten an oil change recently, you look down, the check engine light is on. You got to go to our friend, Tony Clark. Tony Clark is the man. He's been around with us for a long time. I always say, if you don't have that sticker in your window, how can we be friends? It's kind of real. I kind of mean that. You're going to get an oil change. Everybody's driving, I assume. And when you drive, you're going to need an oil change at some point. Your car is going to fall apart. You got to go to Valvoline Express Care. Nice and easy. Helps us, helps their business, helps the sponsors, helps the advertisers. Great for everybody. Locations in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Highland, Illinois, Troy, Illinois, Lemay Ferry Road, Warrenton, Missouri, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and St. Peter's Parkway. 15 minutes from Bay to on your way. No appointments, no sales pressure, no nonsense. Valvoline Express Care if you want to get coupons. Valvoline Express Care if you want to find locations. Valvoline-expresscare.com. Valvoline-expresscare.com for locations, for coupons. Always use Tony Clark and Valvoline Express Care when it's time for an oil change. All right, let's get on with it, Isaiah, because I have several things that I wanted to talk about today. They were kind of just some really great clips.
Mm-hmm. Quick answer, Kurt. We are not live on Spotify. No, you can't go live on Spotify.
Yeah, don't go there now. Don't go there now.
Yeah.
Just later on tonight when you get a chance, if you give just a little note in your head, I would appreciate it. And it doesn't have to be, I prefer they all be wonderful. Robb is the most handsome and the most fantastic person in the world. I love his show. The information is great. On and on and on. I would love, it'd be fantastic. But the reality is, I just want to know what people think about the show, good or bad, and how we can make it better would be fine, whatever. But the more reviews we get, the more I can start to maneuver our just what topics are interesting to people, how we go about it. It's just very important to me, and it's important for me to market the show. I was marketing the show the first time around, Isaiah. I had like 15 or 20 comments, and they were all just raving about. I was talking about this stuff when I first started, and it's really before 99% of the world was aware of things that were going on, especially when it came to COVID. And it was just this overwhelming adulation for the show, and I loved it. It was great for the ego. You're reading, I'm like, wow, these people are like, they'd never heard any of this information before, and I thought maybe I'm onto something.
Mm-hmm.
Now the cat's out of the bag. Now it's not about just giving the information. Now it's about analyzing the information, the media sources, the politicians, the businesses, the commentators, the social media people, the social media platforms themselves, and beginning to connect dots for you because we're immersed in it. And I think we can give you better information than just about anybody because, number one, Isaiah is brilliant. Right, Isaiah?
That's what John tells me.
John tells you that every day. I am... my pattern recognition is good. They say that's what is a high IQ. I know what my IQ is good, but I'm not a genius. But my pattern.
That's the only thing I'm good. That's the only thing I'm good at is pattern recognition.
I am too. I'm really good at pattern recognition. I think that's why I was good at sports. It's why I just see things, and when you see them, you're like, wait a minute, that reminds me of this. Oh, that reminds me of this, and you start tying these things together, and you recognize it's a system that we are in trouble with. It's a system. It's not the people. Vet Manny says the reason I tune in on the Robb Carter show is because it's the only info show where you can get some. That would be perfect. That's the one we read earlier.
Yep.
Vet Manny, my man. Vet Manny, too, a veteran. I love the veterans. So we're right on the same page, my friend. Okay. What was I rambling on about before I lost my train of thought? Remember?
You said you wanted to switch it up.
Yeah,
that was all you said.
There's actually a couple of them. Let's do this. I want to talk a little bit about the federal portion of it because, when I say the illusion of primary season, it's really about the Democrat and Republican facade. It's just, to me, it's just so, don't you find it fake?
Yeah, well, the Pete Hegseth, just that here. It's just so funny to watch these.
I don't even watch them anymore.
It's just so, I just see the clips on X and then I'll just go and find the full interview on X and then watch it and just see the vitriol back and forth, right? You even had if I remember right, you had Senator Kennedy, who's a Republican, grilling Pete Hegseth, right?
Did you get New Warenberg?
And exactly, that's coming to my mind 100% all the time.
See, if you hear the Warenberg, then it makes sense. Then you're like, okay, this is a movie. I forgot this was a movie. Angie Payton says, "Can I still?"
Senator Kennedy's that down south home kind of guy, right? He's like,
look up John Kennedy and where he went to school. See which one he schools. Just go to John Kennedy. John Kennedy, senator from Louisiana, and see where he went to school. And once you start to realize he's just an actor like the rest of them, then it all starts to make sense to you because everybody goes, I love that John. I was on with on 93.3. We had a roundtable one day, and I love Peggy Hubbard. I think she's wonderful. I may disagree with her on politics, but I think I think she's fantastic. And she says, I said, who do you like in Washington, D.C.? And first names that came to her mind was John Kennedy. I said, John Kennedy is a fraud. She got a little huffy and puffy with me. I said, he's a fraud. He's an absolute fraud with his down-home sayings and this and that and the other. Now, if you just like actors and you like the game, well, he's one of the better actors because he's the comedian in the, comedy is not everybody in a comedy is funny. Well, he's the funny guy in the comedy.
Yep.
He's the guy that brings it together. But Angie Payton says, can I still proclaim myself your number one fan? Of course, Angie. Of course. Let's see what kind of review you leave, and then we'll let you know whether it's going to stick or not. It's only fair. Right, Isaiah?
And then we'll reevaluate.
We'll reevaluate after we see the comment. All right. Let's do Harrison Smith. I really like Harrison Smith. Yes. I think Harrison Smith is one of the good people.
We got to get to that conference in November where they're all going to be down there.
Yeah. I really like Harrison Smith. Here's why I like Harrison Smith. If you've not seen him, you're going to see him here in just a minute. This is a long one, Isaiah, so I'm going to let this play and just give him his due. Of the people that I would like you to pay attention to, one of them, Harrison Smith. We're going to play two clips. Let's go right to, these are two long clips, so it's going to chew up a little bit of our time here, but I want to get these out. These are InfoWars people. So Harrison Smith stuck around with Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer left. So one is still there. One took off and started his own thing. But I want you to listen to the differences and how the similarities, but the differences. And I want to explain what I'm talking about. Harrison Smith, clip number 19, does not understand what's going on with MAGA anymore. You have to remember that Harrison Smith and Owen Schroyer held on to Donald Trump and MAGA way longer than I understood what was going on. In fact, I used to come on my show and say, what is happening with these people? Are they not watching the same thing as me? These are people that were giving us steady information. I was agreeing with everything they said. And now it's just getting to be absurd because Donald Trump can do no wrong, no matter what he does, no matter how many campaign promises he breaks, they continue to make excuses for him. Well, both have broken. Okay. Took them about 6 months longer than it took me, but they've completely broken and said, wait a minute, what the hell is going on around here? And that's what everybody should be doing. You can love Donald Trump and be appreciative of Donald Trump and still recognize that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know. But what is happening, what we do know, the legislation that's being passed, the information that's being passed, the division that is being spread, that's right out in front of us. We don't have to guess what's going on behind the scenes when we see that, right, Isaiah? The stuff that you can actually measure, I don't like it. I don't like what I'm measuring. My measurement of what's going on in this country, not happy with.
Yeah. We can tell we can tell the forced deportations are lower. We can tell gas prices are higher. We can tell.
And even the premise of how you're doing it, Isaiah. That's what I said earlier. If you want to get rid of illegal immigrants who are here, if you go out and you proclaim, as Donald Trump did, that everybody that's here illegally will be deported, well, there's a lot of ways to do that other than having a militant force going around to all your inner cities and picking people up off the streets. There's just an easier way to do it. If you make it impossible for them to work, if you have punishments for the people that support them or harbor them, just like if you had a fugitive, right? If you had a fugitive, instead of calling them illegal immigrants, call them fugitives from justice. And once you catch a fugitive, they're going to prison. They're not going back to their home country. They're going to prison because they've broken our laws, and this is what the law states. If they actually wanted to solve, they don't want to solve it. Of course, they don't want to solve it, and that includes the Republican Party. They have no intention of solving this problem at all. None, zero, not a zilch. They don't want to solve it. If they wanted to solve the problem, they've solved it long ago. It's been going on for 50 years. They're not trying to solve this problem. It's ridiculous. Clip number 19 is Harrison Smith, and he is questioning MAGA, and I wonder how many people feel the same way. Check it out.
You are now entering restricted broadcast territory.
They were planning to use the term fake news to drive a censorship program.
Some members of the media use their platform.
They were always going to intend to crush independent media.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I say it's like a fractal image, right? The more you zoom in, the more you see it. It's like you can zoom in.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Off Limits News. He got his own thing going on now?
This is something else that he does. He with the New Christian Right with Joel Webbin. So he does
Joel Webbin is where I got this from. Okay.
Yeah. So he'll go on there. He does. I don't know if he has a permanent show or if he just goes and guest hosts sometime or just comes on when they ask him. But I know he's on there a lot with them on the New Christian Right.
Okay. All right. So again, this is Harrison Smith. This is somebody that I recommend people pay attention to when they're not listening to my show. Go check out Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is talented.
Him and Alex Jones remind me of me and you, just how they interact and how they, pretty funny.
Yep. Same thing. But he's a very bright mind. And at the very end of this, he gets really worked up. And it reminds me a little bit about myself. I start talking about something. And then as I'm talking, I'm reminding myself of the nonsense and the BS, and then the repercussions of the BS and the nonsense, right? If you're not mad about COVID and you had 3 or 4 of your family members died, if a neighbor went and killed 3 or 4 of your friends and family members with a gun, you'd be freaked out of your mind. But because it happened with a COVID shot and you say, well, it was their opportunity. They could have not taken it. They could have taken it. You go, well, wait a minute. Maybe they had to take it because if they didn't take it, they would have lost their job, which means they were the sole breadwinner of their family and they can't feed their family and they can't find any other jobs because everything was shut down during the times of COVID. Then you see the box that everybody was put in and it starts to anger you because you know that your own government did that to you. Pay attention to what he has to say. Check it out.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Off Limits News. We're not going to have a full episode this week because I am, as you can see, on vacation in sunny Seaside, Florida, which is actually the place where the Truman Show was filmed. It's a planned community, which you might think would make it dystopian, but in fact, it's heaven on earth. And I should probably do a whole episode just about how private communities is like the future of American liberty, since it seems to be the only way that you can actually have a neighborhood you can enjoy is by pricing certain people out. But that's beside the point. I want to talk today about Section 219 and the NDAA and some information that's come to light about how this is being pushed and where it came from. I want to go to a video now of Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado. She gave an interview with TMZ where, what she described is extremely troubling. And I want to play this now.
So I got a whole bunch of men trying to muscle me into voting for the NDAA. Section names. Who? Who are these men? I don't know their freaking names. They're staffers. All right, listen to my story. If you want my story, I'll give it to you. All right. So all these staffers are in there trying to get me to vote for the NDAA. I want to vote for the NDAA. Section 219 is still in there. It's a big tech swap between us and Israel. We don't do that with anyone. I understand in the past, we've given them money for the Iron Dome and then they get to keep the tech and we don't get any of it back. So I understand that, but it's a big issue on the left and the right. And many of my constituents have reached out. They don't want this provision in the bill. Well, the White House doesn't want it in the bill. Secretary Hegseth doesn't want it in the bill. So I'm in the back waiting for a call from the secretary. I'm told that call is coming. I'm talking to someone underneath him and told the vote's going to stay open. They closed the vote. And so now I'm forced to talk to TMZ. Well, I do have an issue that we talked about off record. I don't want to be on camera this week, and I've been on camera more than any other week. I am talking out of the side of my mouth like a damn politician because...
Okay, that's enough from her. Thank you, lady.
Agreed.
So what did she just describe there? She describes being pressured by these men.
Can we pause it real fast?
People say, well, who's pressuring you? She's like...
Now, we covered this last week. Do you remember? We cover it. And then it comes out over the weekend, but we covered this. So Lauren Boebert, just so you understand, we're talking about Section 219 in this bill that is incredible. I had people arguing with me online that it didn't merge They're like, Rob, you're misleading your audience. They didn't merge technologies. And I said, well, this is what it says. I mean, I don't know what you think merging is, but if we're sharing information, if we're sharing AI, if we're sharing military secrets, if we're combining military operations, to me, that's a merger. You can call it whatever you want, but Rob Collier calls them. I don't care what your propagandists tell me it is. It's a merger of military technology and AI with the nation state of Israel. Fact. It's exactly what it says. I don't care what anybody tells you that it's not a merger, Rob. You didn't read it. I said, no, I did read it. And then I posted it with this imbecile that was arguing with me. Okay. That is exactly what it is. Now you got to remember Lauren Boebert in this particular instance where I don't know if he brings it up here. Harrison Smith does. If you remember, it got voted down 213 to 212. Remember that, Isaiah? So this was the beginning of it. 213 to 212. Lauren Boebert said she didn't show up because she wasn't sure the vote was happening at that particular time. And remember what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. They need cover, so they vote one way. And then when it really gets down to brass tacks, they vote or they don't vote in the opposite way to make sure the numbers work out so they can pass whatever piece of legislation they want. So if it's 213 to 212 and Lauren Boebert didn't show up for the big vote because she just got confused and they held it at the wrong time, I just ask you to use your common sense as to what's going on there. Lauren Boebert is full of it, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, full of it. And it's nice to see Harrison Smith start to figure that out. Okay, we just talked about this on Thursday and Friday. Go ahead, Isaiah.
I don't know, staffers. It's like, how are staffers pressing a congresswoman? How are you being pressured from these people? I get that there are back deal negotiations, but then she says that President Trump doesn't want Section 219 and Pete Hegseth don't want 219.
That's the fact.
Like, for one thing, I don't believe her. I think she's just being lied to, or she's lying to us, because they absolutely want this in there. And if they don't, then who does? And that's sort of the ultimate question at play right now. Who wants any of this? Who wanted the Iran war? Not the American people, not apparently Donald Trump or Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth or, certainly not Tulsi Gabbard or Joe Kent or anybody at the ODNI who knew the truth about the threat of weapons of mass destruction from Iran. But the Jews did. They wanted it. Who wanted Section 219? Where did it even come from? Who is playing these parliamentary games to prevent Thomas Massey's objections from coming to the floor? Who are pulling these strings behind the scenes? The answer is the Jewish mafia. They have just achieved their biggest victory to date. The Israeli country, the Israeli government for the nation state of Israel, just won its first major victory in any of their eighth front war. So they've got 7 fronts in the Middle East. Their eighth front is America. Their eighth front is here in America. And they just achieved an astonishing victory. Bingo. Where they have now implanted an Israeli operative at the top of our DOD, Department of Defense or Department of War. They now have an office to oversee all technology, all communications, all intelligence. This is a full-fledged merger. And I know people are saying, well, it's not a merger because we're still going to have an American army and an Israeli army. People are playing stupid because they think you're stupid.
Bingo.
This is creating an office that will be permanent, that will, as soon as it's created, start accruing power and influence to itself, that will continue to grow and create more power to itself and act in ways that is, unmoored from what is necessary for our national security. They have created a monster here. And this is very bad. And this is very bad. And it really, at the end of the day, what it does is gives a direct siphon for Israel directly into our military accruement pipeline. Like any intelligence, any material, any funding, that there are trillions and trillions of dollars that go missing through the Pentagon already. Giving Israel access to this is essentially giving them a blank check, in addition to, just giving them access to all of our, intelligence worldwide. And you have to understand this in context of everything else that's happened this week. You've got Mamdani threatening to arrest Netanyahu. Everybody freaks out as if that's the craziest thing in the world. Arresting another foreign head of state? You should be arrested for that. Like, we didn't just black bag the president of Venezuela, Maduro, in the middle of the night because he, I don't know, kept gas prices too high or whatever. Of course, at the time, we said, as I was reporting on that what was happening in Venezuela was almost certainly because Venezuela has had helped to train and actually has bases with Hezbollah in Venezuela. And it was in preparation for the war in Iran by normalizing this type of extrajudicial, extra legal activity by the president, which he's gotten around that in Iran by saying, oh, the old Iran war is over. This is a new Iran war, because if you don't get Congress to declare a war within 60 days, then you have to cease activity. Trump doesn't want to cease activity. So he says, no, the old war stopped. This is a new one. These are all games they're playing. So I want to zoom out a little bit. Don't look at the Section 219, these individual aspects. Understand that all of these are part and parcel with a much, much broader, wider, longer, more expansive plan to subvert America in order to destroy the American people in the exact same way that the European people are being destroyed. The intelligence apparatus that they now have wormed their way into is going to be turned against the American people in a very real way. We have absolutely seen this happen throughout history in the past, from the Bolsheviks to the attempt in Germany in 1918. They're coming for the communist revolution, and they are going to have access to every form of information that they're currently establishing, including flock cameras and including Axon and including social media and big tech companies. Apple now making their phones in Israel, giving them direct access to the chipset that every major communications device will be built upon. They are building up their systems. They're not going to let them lay idle. They aren't establishing all of these various methods by which they can surveil, control, and eliminate us if they're not going to use them. They're going to use them. It's time we wake up, free ourselves from this foreign influence, and understand that they're not doing things the legal way. So I don't know how we can confront them in the legal way. Donald Trump has failed utterly, completely, and entirely to save this country's sovereignty. He has surrendered our entire nation over to Israel, and I'm not sure if we are actually even going to be able to get back from this, from what he has done to us. In fact, we're still in the war with Iran, with no signs of slowing down, and in fact, signs of only ramping up. The fact that we are signing over our sovereignty to Israel, giving them direct access to our every intelligence gathering. And by the way, let me be clear. This is just the latest office established in the United States government, occupied by a Jewish supremacist and created specifically for Jewish supremacy. This Yehuda rabbi who we played clips of all over the place, talking about wanting to destroy people's lives for daring to question the Jewish people. He was appointed by President Trump as a part of the Stop Anti-Semitism Act, which created offices in every branch of government, from the Department of Justice to the Department of Education. Everywhere there is now an office, a person sitting there who is the Jewish spokesperson, who is the Israeli representative, who is the anti-Semitism spokesperson, to make sure that all educational material comports with the Israeli Jewish view of the world, that all, justice, activities that they're getting up to, that all investigations are not being tainted by anti-Semitism. This is a full-fledged takeover. This is a mafia getting offices in our government for their own ends. They are taking over America right in front of us. They're laughing in our faces as they do it. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize that the Republican Party is just as bad, if not worse, than the Democrat Party right now. And if nothing else, at least the Democrat Party threatens to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. At least they don't want to be surrendering completely our entire sovereignty over to Israel. So we are just in a complete pincer move right now from the Republican Israeli slave traders on one side and the foreign communist Muslim element on the other. We have to embrace American Christianity. Masculine American Christianity that unapologetically stands up to the Chinese, to the Muslims, to the Jews, and to anybody else who is openly trying to degrade and destroy our sovereignty only as a prelude to destroying us physically. We have to understand the threat that we're under. We have to understand the revolutionary methods that are going to be necessary to get this country back on track, because we have been sold out by our government, we have been sold out by our Congress, and we have been screwed by President Donald Trump to the amount that I can't even fathom what he has done to us. And if we're ever going to get back, President Trump got into office in 2016 talking about illegal immigration. He did nothing to fight illegal immigration in his first administration. He did not build the wall. He did not do mass deportations, but he talked a big game. So what happened next? Joe Biden opened up the border and flooded our country with 50 million illegal immigrants. If we do not do what is necessary to get those 50 million illegal immigrants out in the next 2.5 years, the next president is guaranteed to be a Democrat. He's going to give them amnesty, and he's going to open the floodgate once again. America will be over, and it's entirely because Donald Trump has spent this last precious moment of ultimate authority where he had control of every branch of government and a wide open road in front of him to bring back American sovereignty, make America great again, and reestablish us on the world stage. And he gives it all to Israel.
Don't go anywhere. I told you it was going to happen. We've just added 2 new speakers to our lineup.
Isaiah, he got a little impassioned at the very end, and that's not like him. You have to admit, I've never even seen him raise his voice before. He's like a really calm guy. But what happens?
He's very similar to Joe Webbin, where he's always
very cerebral.
Yeah,
very cerebral. And the reason that he gets upset is the same reason I do. You don't start off that way. You're going to explain something, and then as you start to explain it, you realize the situation that we have ourselves in this country, and you talk about it, and you go, and then all of a sudden you're like, do people even understand the situation that we're in? And explaining the situation to people based on just what's right before our very eyes, does that make people think that you're negative, that you're not enjoying your life, or that you're a horrible person, or that you're trying to fearmonger people? Because you got to remember, if the people in Nazi Germany would have said, you're just fear-mongering that we're starting wars all over the world, you're just fear-mongering that we're putting Jews on trains, you're just fear-mongering, that, just fear-mongering, because that's what you get when you try to be honest with what's happening in our country. Just being honest about it. Not saying I'm going to take a position on anything necessarily, but this is what's happening right before your very eyes. Everybody can see it. There is no doubt about it what is going on.
And aid to Israel. Bibi just said simultaneously. I don't know if everyone knows this. Right when this NDAA with Section 219 in it is being put before Congress, at the exact same moment, Bibi says, I think we need to bring down foreign aid to Israel from the American people.
Oh, yeah.
The exact same time.
That's always the game, right? That's always the game.
We're going to bring that down aid, so we're going to stop sending aid. No, we're going to stop sending the aid that we can see, that we have transparency with. That's what we're not going to be able to see anymore. AIPAC just went and bragged on X. Everyone can go look at this. They bragged on X after the NDAA was passed that they got $15 million more than they did last year because of it. And we're bringing down aid to Israel.
I don't know that we're going to be able to get that point across to people. I think the Republican Party is so, because of the churches, I think, more than anything, is so in bed with the state of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu that there's nothing you can do. He's right.
True.
That's why I said I was trying to explain it. That's how I used to get it. I didn't start off by raising my temper. I just would start talking about it. And then as I start to bring, one issue, second issue, third issue, fourth issue, fifth issue, it's so obvious what is happening. I'm almost convincing myself, and it's making me angry by listening to my own voice. And that's what happened to Harrison Smith right there. Once you lay it all out for people and you're like, God dang, how can people not see what is happening here? What is going on? They have laws right here in Missouri. They have the laws in Missouri. You have laws right now that, again, if you want to do business with the state of Missouri, you have to sign a loyalty pledge to the state of Israel. You have down in Texas, as this small town found out that their tax dollars, $4 million of their tax dollars in this little small town was going off to Israel. Florida, your tax dollars, billions go to Israel, right?
You know that?
In multiple different states. This particular people found out about it and said, wait a minute, Governor Abbott, we don't give our money to Israel. And he said, shut your frickin' pie holes. That money goes to Israel. That's our greatest ally in the world, and you'll pay taxes for the state of Israel. And shut up. That's what happened. That's what happened in Texas.
Unreal.
And nobody even understands or even says anything about it. Like I'm supposed to be paying taxes to a nation state that I disagree with politically. Not that I hate Jews. So ridiculous. I got into it with Chris Arps. You know who Chris Arps is, Isaiah? You know that name? He's on with Tim Jones. He's been coming after me recently. And he implied that I was a racist the other day. And, I don't take all that kindly to that. So we got him into a little back and forth with it. But this is the argument that they use. This is what the left did. Remember, when you disagreed on policy, you were a racist. Right? You hated blacks, you hated gays, you hated whatever. You just hate. That's what the left did. And now from the right, when you say you disagree with the policies between the United States and Israel, now they're calling you an anti-Semite. It's the same playbook. It is where is my, let me find it here for.
Yeah.
Hang on here.
And we can't criticize a foreign government. It's illegal to do that, Rob, but we can criticize our own government.
Correct. And this is, it always reminds me of Candace Owens when she said this.
This is fodder for idiots.
Bingo. Fodder for idiots. It's
She should sit
unbelievable.
straight.
All right, now so we got now I want to play this because we go from my premise before you listen to Owen Schroyer. Now these are two people from InfoWars. Now you have Harrison Smith losing his mind about what's going on, and now we'll play this one from Owen Schroyer. Now Owen Schroyer is in the same camp as Nick Fuentes, saying if the Republicans are going to do this to us, if the Republicans are going to stab us in the back, if the Republicans tell us they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they don't do it, and when they don't do it and you draw attention to it, then they start to smear you, the people that supported them from the very beginning, then we'll now vote for Democrats, right? You've heard this before. Nick Fuentes is saying this. Owen Schroyer is saying this. Here's what Owen Schroyer had to say, and I just want to remind everybody, listen very carefully. This is the most important thing for you to understand. It's all fake. There is no difference between Democrats and Republicans other than what comes out of their lying mouth. Outside of that, it is the same game, just coming from a different angle. Make sure that you understand that. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Where is it? It just doesn't matter. Where is it, Isaiah? I know I have it in here. Why can't I find anything that I want? Here it is.
Your list is getting too long now.
It is. Look at this thing. It's like 2 pages.
It just doesn't matter if we win or we lose. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter, Isaiah.
It's a good one.
And the more people start to recognize that, the more they're going to feel trapped. The quicker they feel trapped and start to recognize this is just a BS game, and we're caught in the spokes of this BS game between the Democrats and the Republicans, then and only then will people begin to stand up, because now they have nobody to root for. Right now, if you're a Democrat, you root for the Democrats. If you're a Republican, you root for the Republicans. When you win, you lose. When you lose, you win. When you win, you lose. When you lose, you win. It's the same thing. It absolutely does not effing matter who wins between the Democrats and Republicans in Washington, D.C. The only thing that matters is what they intend to do anyway, because they don't run clean elections. You think they care? You think if those patriots up in Washington, D.C. gave an ounce of care about citizens, that those patriots might fix the elections first, since everybody in the world knows they're running easily manipulated elections at the very least?
Come on, Rob. These are the pristine, top-of-the-line elections, right?
Greatest elections of all time. These are the greatest elections of all time.
I just can never get out of my mind the Laura Ingraham interview with that guy. I forgot his name. Did you medal?
James Woolsey, former CIA guy. You guys steal elections around the world? Maybe a couple of times. It was only for democracy. Well, if you steal elections and the people steal ours, what's the difference? Maybe they don't like fascism, because that's what we're living in, is fascism, and it's a combination of communism, fascism coming up, but it's authoritarianism no matter how you slice it. All right, here's Owen Schroyer. He's losing his mind on the MAGA people as well. And I just ask, are these people all getting it wrong? Now, the one thing people really have to remember is these were the biggest cheerleaders. You think Doug Billings, somebody mentioned Doug Billings earlier. You think Doug Billings is a cheerleader for the Republican Party and Donald Trump? He's not even in the same ballpark as Owen Schroyer.
I want to give him credit for coming out against Amendment 5.
I agree. I'm just saying he's a cheerleader for Donald Trump.
I agree. Trump. That's so much so that people just said it in the chat that they said I can't, when we were talking about Israel, they're like, I can just hear Doug Billings responding to this already. That's what people were saying in the chat.
They think being upset with the policy means you're anti-Semitic, and you can't even, and then they just label you that. That's what they do.
Yep.
That's why you'd like to just smack them one, but you can't. I say it's illegal to smack somebody, but you'd like to just whack them, or you know what I mean? Just which way you'd like to do. You can't do that.
You want to smack Rabbi Shmuley just one time?
I would like to whack somebody that continues to call, because that's a terrible thing to say about somebody, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You call somebody a racist or an anti-Semite, you're basically calling them an idiot.
Yep.
I don't like to be called an idiot. That's disrespectful to me.
Or a bigot, right?
Or a bigot. I just act inappropriately when somebody smears me with that brush, and I want to whack them on. But you can't do it anymore. It's illegal. But you should be. I think if somebody calls you a racist and you're not, you should be able to backhand them, like just to backhand them right there. But you can't do that. It's just what I want to do.
Wait,
all right?
When Robb is king, though,
I will be king. Don't forget, I will be king. And I need your reviews on Spotify to become king. But we're one step closer to being king. Don't forget, Rob will be king. All right. Owen Schroyer talking about MAGA. This is where he's coming from. He's going to say, I'm going to vote for Democrats, which is, again, a fool's errand. Clip number 8.
18-year-old girl signs up for the military. She's dead now. I wonder if she signed up because she believed Donald Trump. I wonder how many Americans signed up and joined the military because they believed Donald Trump when he said no new wars. I'm no fan of the Democrats. I don't like the Democrat policies. I couldn't imagine myself even voting for a Democrat. I never had. But Americans are realizing if this Trump administration is not stopped, if this war in the Middle East is not stopped, it could be it, guys. That could be it. There could be no recovering from this. So the only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping this administration. Democrats getting in there and stopping Trump from all the damage he's doing to this country. It might be the only option. Hey, I get it. You thought it was all great. No. Wake up. Wake up. Trump is George Bush, maybe worse. The economy's not getting any better. The Pentagon is broke. The debt is at a record high. Americans' debt is at a record high. You're in the Middle East. Americans are coming back in body bags. Wake up. Wake up. You have been sold out. Trump sold you out. How many of these Americans that signed up for the military, a 19-year-old girl, because they believed Donald Trump would be different than the past administrations. They believed Donald Trump would be different than George Bush. How many Americans in the massive recruitment drive that the Trump administration ran for the first 4 months of the administration, all the way up to the 4th of July drive that they did last year with the parade, how many Americans signed up to join the military because they actually believed Donald Trump when he said no new wars, and they didn't think they'd be dying overseas for foreign interest and special interest?
Okay. Good point, Isaiah.
The reason I didn't join the military is because Obama was president.
Exactly. If you campaign on the notion, just think about it. If you're the father of the 19-year-old girl who went to fight overseas and just died, if you're the father of that young girl, just think of how much you love your daughters, everybody. Think of how much you care about your daughters, that little baby girl that was bouncing on your knee, and you love her and you care about your daughter. And then your daughter says, you know what, Dad, I want to go join the military. Donald Trump says we're going to have no new wars. I'm going to go. Now I want to be a part of the military. Maybe it's a peacekeeping force. It's going to do good for humanity. I want to join the military because Donald Trump for the last 8 years has said no new wars. He didn't say it once. He didn't say it twice. He didn't say it 3 times. He didn't say it 100 times or 200 times. He said it 1,000 times. No new wars. I am the president of peace. And then attacks.
On day one, Ukraine and Russia, I will have that solved on day one. One phone call is all it's going to take. It's going to be over.
Be done. Right? And then your daughter goes overseas and she comes back in a body bag. Is that okay? I mean, is that okay for everybody? Because I know they joined the military. I get it, but you're joining a military for a commander-in-chief who said for 8 straight years that he would start no new wars. I mean, I don't know how you look at it any different. If it happens to you, then it matters. If it happens to somebody else, I guess it just doesn't matter. Isaiah.
Yeah. It just doesn't matter if we win or we lose.
You're still going to war. If the next president comes in, you're still going to go to war. If the president after that comes in, you're still going to go to war unless the people of this country stop it. Let's get some more advertisers in. Then I got one more clip, and then we'll get out of here, Isaiah.
Let's do it.
You're very busy today. Actually,
John Watson, I can't agree. Couldn't agree more.
That's okay. I'm very sexual. What am I? I'm very comfortable in my sexuality. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com for all of your rubbish and trash needs. It's always GraceHauling.com. It's nice to see him out at David Robertson's event. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. Again, if you're in the St. Charles County area and you see those trash trucks, you see those dumpsters everywhere, that's because people love doing business with Gary Schneider. Can't tell you enough. He is the man. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. If you're a residential customer, trash, recyclables, yard waste, and bulk pickups. If you're a commercial customer, 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters, established in 1998. One thing you can do is if you pick who's going to take care of your trash, it has to be GraceHauling.com. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. Outstanding customer service and competitive price. Check them out, GraceHauling.com. And then, of course, We have Dr. Helen Gelhot. Always got to remind people. I just got another customer for Helen Gelhot. You know, when you tell people that you have somebody in your circles that works on dementia and Alzheimer's, you just wait and see how many people go, "Oh, I have a friend that has Alzheimer's. I have a friend that has dementia. My aunt has dementia. My mom has Alzheimer's. It is so incredible right now how many people are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. Again,
I wonder what she would
advanced wellness-
recommend, like what age to go get your own test. You know what I mean? Just to understand how your cognitive function, where it's at right now, to see if you can mitigate it. You know what I mean? I'd be curious to what she would say.
We'll get her back on before too terribly long. We'll get her back on because I love asking her questions because she's patient. You know, I'm not very smart, so she's very patient when she explains things. Because a lot of this is complex. You know, she can prescribe medicines, but a lot of this is you just have to think. You have to work through some things, and you have to do things the old-fashioned way, which means you got to get involved in your own life.
My wife really always said it's memory. You know, getting with the memory books and just working your brain.
I'd bet money on it.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't want to retire. It's what my dad says. My dad goes, I'm getting tired, but I don't want to retire because I feel like if I retire, I lose my purpose, and I just have a feeling I'll die if I retire. That's why a lot of people want to keep working.
Yep.
Right? AdvancedWellnessMed.com. Dr. Helen Gelhot. Feel, think, look better, and live longer. The earliest cancer detection blood test available. Pre-screenings for heart attacks and strokes. And the big one for me, again, Alzheimer and dementia symptom reversal. So if you have somebody that is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's and they're starting to get confused and they're starting to repeat themselves and it gets scary, you can only imagine as you're going through this and you think there's no hope, Dr. Helen Gelhot will give you hope and she can help reverse the symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia. Give her a call, 314-576-0094, 314-576-0094, or check her out on the website, AdvancedWellnessMed.com.
I love doctors that are in it just because that's what they want to do when people are in healthcare, because that's what I see. That's what I see in my wife. You know, she talks to people on the phone all the time and they're not even her patients. She can't even, they might be with Medicaid and she can't even see them, but she'll spend 30 minutes with them, just talking to them, helping them figure out what's going on, and then helping them find the right person to get connected to. And, I see that in Dr. Helen personally.
Yeah. And that's the way my wife is.
That's what gets me excited.
Yeah. It's exactly how my wife is. My wife, she gets a thrill out of helping people. That's what she likes to do.
Yeah.
Right. So when she was under those COVID restrictions and they said, if you don't get your COVID shot by November 3rd, you're out of a job. You got to get your and she's like, she was panicking because she wanted to be a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
My wife likes to, I mean, she's dealing with me, she's got to want to help people because I'm pretty much helpless and she's taking over everything. She likes to help people. It's when she comes home and she is appreciated for helping somebody. That's what she likes to do. And she would do it for less, but she'd probably do it for free. That's what makes her happy. Same with Dr. Helen Gelhot. Dr. Helen Gelhot left the hospital administrations because she said, Rob, I couldn't do what I thought was best for my patients under that system. So I just decided to do it myself.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep. Getting brownie points. My wife's listening.
I like that she's listening. Isabella, very nice.
Yes.
All right. Is it Isabella or Isabel?
Isabel. It's so confusing
Isabel,
because it is only Isabel, but her mom nicknamed her Bella.
That's why I call my daughter. Her name's Anna. Her name's not Annabelle, but I call her Annabelle.
Exactly. Yeah. So it confuses people,
I got you. All right. A couple more things I want to get to because you talked about Donald Trump. Okay. Now, just because I played Harrison Smith and Owen Schroyer getting very upset about Donald Trump, I have a different opinion on what's going on there. I understand that opinion. My opinion is that Donald Trump doesn't have the power you think he has. And it always goes back to John F. Kennedy, when he was giving that speech to the press club. And he made mention that he would not do certain things to the extent that it's in my control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have the system built the way it is now, I don't think politicians have much control. Donald Trump cannot control what the Senate does, can't control what the House does. Now, there are things I'm very upset with Donald Trump on, COVID mainly. I'm disgusted by what happened with COVID. Disgusted in many of the things that Donald Trump has done. I mean, disgusted, makes me sick to my stomach. Horrible, some of the things that I believe the man has done in a public fashion. And I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense to me because it hurt a lot of people, destroyed a lot of lives. COVID was just absolutely embarrassing in the way in which he sold COVID. Now, everybody forgot about that because they go, well, he didn't mandate anything. Okay, didn't mandate it. I got you. But he sold it, again, harder than Mike Lindell sells pillows. That's what he sold. But there was 8 people infected, everybody. And he was running daily press conferences about 8 people out on a boat at sea. Just think about
Oh
that.
my gosh, we can't let them port. What's going to happen?
There's 8 people with a runny nose on a ship out here. We got to stop everything. Come on. I flew on 1,000 planes. This ship is. You think the ship was any different than the plane that I was on? I'm in a missile with wings every week.
Yeah. I'll admit to this. When they started the media, when I first heard it, because
scared you.
Remember I told you that I had a buddy who's wealthy and very connected to the government. He told me it was going to shut down. I didn't believe it, but I believed it at first when I heard it, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're saying this coronavirus, right? And they used these terms, and then I was like, okay, I got to look into this, and it's like, oh, there's many coronaviruses. Okay, wait, the flu is a coronavirus. All right, so, and then you just start learning that, okay, this terminology that they're using is for a reason. It seems, it's it didn't take me that long. It's just when you hear it, you're like, interesting, what's going on? And I research things. I know a lot of people don't, but just looking up coronaviruses to find all that out, that kind of, I was like, oh, okay. It seems like they're kind of trying to make this bigger than it is, right? And then we just saw where it went, right?
What's to say, Rob? Perhaps you're 1 in 3 billion. I'm not 1 in 3 billion, Bill. I just want to remind everybody this is why I say COVID was such a con, and a lot of people just don't want to believe it because they got married to it. Nobody in my family got vaccinated.
No.
We all continued to travel. We all have sinuses.
Someone tried to accuse us of that the other day. Did you see that in the chat?
Yep, we all had asthma, and none of us got sick. None of us were. The only thing that happened to us is when we did get a little sniffles, we panicked because we're human, and because of all the fear out there. We're like, what if we're wrong? We got that vibe going on for just a minute.
Yep.
But if I'm here, if Rob Carter is alive, then COVID was a con job, because I've been in the hospital multiple times for respiratory problems.
Sinus kissing people in the elevator, right?
Just never stopped my life, because I knew deep down that it was a con job. And I think now we kind of figured out it's a con job, didn't we? I mean, if you look at AIDS and you look at COVID, it's the same scheme they used for AZT. It's the same thing with remdesivir. It's just an obvious con to me. All right, couple more clips I want to play, Isaiah. I just want to point these out, and then we'll talk about them a little bit more tomorrow. We'll have Rick Babbitt's in tomorrow, but I don't have a lot of guests scheduled. I may bring in some people that are getting near the end of their campaigns in the primaries that we might want to highlight, but I'll offer it to them. They might be out knocking doors and might not even have the time. So really this week it's going to be Isaiah and conversation.
Even offer for them to call in for some of these politicians. I know we don't want people to call in. We try to get the video interviews set up, but just for this week, even if they can call in, I want to help. I want to be able to help them out with their race personally. So
let's go to Steve Bannon, 2028. Now, remember, this is an old. Now, you were telling me, Isaiah, that Donald Trump put on a hat and said, "I'm running in 2028." I didn't see that.
I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke, but he did it in a serious way.
Well, if he did it in a serious way, and you think it's a joke, isn't that a problem?
Yes, 100%.
Should you understand what your president is doing? I mean, he does work for you, so you should have an understanding what is a joke and what isn't. I think you should. Steve Bannon says he's definitely running in 2028, and just get over it, Buttercup, because he's going to win. Clip number 12.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term.
Okay, that's good.
Right? And he'll get that in 28.
I mean, just a biblical perspective, the divine will, for someone who's not following God, he doesn't typically choose to use them for his divine will in a positive way. Now, if we look at Pharaoh, it said God hardened his heart, and that's why he wouldn't let the Hebrew people go. It said God hardened Pharaoh's heart. I think that you could say, right? But that's not doing something positive. That's doing something negative.
Well, who's Steve Bannon aligned with? Look up Steve Bannon on Wikipedia real fast. And then let me answer Bill real fast. Bill says, I also said, why would the billionaires cut off their nose? And I think he's talking about COVID. Bill, the billionaires made out like bandits because of COVID. You understand that, right? I mean, that's where they went from billionaires to trillionaires during COVID. All the money came from your and I's pocket. They took our money, passed a $2.2 trillion bill, and all that money went to Wall Street. That's where the money went. That's why Thomas Massey stood up on the House floor and said, if we're going to lose our republic, you need to come to the House floor to vote on the CARES Act. That's what he said. If we're going to lose our republic, everybody should have to come in and vote in person. Because if you remember, they were trying to pass the CARES Act by remote vote. Okay, these are the people that they made the money. COVID was a con about money. If it made you sick, who cares? I don't know if they knew it was going to make you sick or not. They didn't care if it made you sick. Where'd he go to school real fast?
Let's see here. Go down to his schooling, education. Oh.
Is it Harvard?
Wow.
Say, another brilliant mind from Harvard playing the game. Amazing.
It's crazy how all these Ivy League, graduates just somehow get these amazing internships and before they even graduate.
It's kind of incredible. It's like everywhere you look, it's almost like it's
a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
And he explains that. George Carlin explained what he meant by big club. He said these people, and so did Dr. Shiva, these people hang together, they travel together, they come from the big families, they go to the same schools, they go to the same country clubs, they know what they're doing. He said they're like birds when they fly. This is what Dr. Shiva said. He goes, if you see 100 birds flying in the sky and then all of a sudden immediately they turn to the right, this is how these people work. They know what the game is. They know that you're an idiot because your mind is being shaped by the propaganda that they create from thin air to control what you're doing and what you believe in. And Bill didn't go to Harvard, although he could have. Very bright man. Could have went to Harvard. Okay, so Steve Bannon says that Donald Trump's running in 2028. I asked my Donald Trump fans, is he running in 2028? Will you vote for him again in 2028? Is this some big master 5D chess type operation where he needs 3 terms to get things done? Because I, for one, do not recognize whether it's unconstitutional or not. Because although it says that you get 2 terms, to me, if you don't get consecutive terms, you're a lame duck president from the time you start. So I understand the argument that he could take another term. I do. I get that argument. I don't know if it's constitutional because that's a little bit tricky, but if you split up,
we've seen how there's language that's put in, so it can be ambiguous a lot of times with these things, right?
They leave room.
Yep.
Okay. And here's the other one. I want you to look at this. Is this a real one? This guy, the Harvard president of Harvard, is that real?
Oh yes, I believe so. Yeah, this guy is a very.
You sent it to me, so I assume.
Yeah. He's a very what's his background? Because he's an intelligent guy.
Play the clip.
Yeah.
So people didn't get to see it. This guy's name is Ronnie Chang. It's spelled I think it's spelled Chieng.
Yep.
I assume he's Chinese, Isaiah.
Yes.
Which will add to the speculation of what's going on around here. So he gets up and he's given I think it's a commencement speech, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he's saying that the graduating class of Harvard, their number one agenda item is to stop AI. Now, before we play the clip, I want to remind you how this will all play out in the news, because if you think the news is orchestrated, think of it like this. Why would the president of Harvard come out and say your number one job is to stop AI? At the same time, the president of the United States comes out, Donald Trump, and says, it's stop, don't mess with it. It's going to be what it's going to be. Let it go. It's going to create a lot of money for the states. What are people going to say? They're not going to say, here comes Israel again. What are they going to say? They see a Chinese professor or a Chinese president of Harvard. They're going to say, well,
he's not the president. He's just a guest speaker.
Just a guest speaker. Of course he doesn't want AI.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't want AI. He's Chinese because the Chinese are infiltrating us. It's the Chinese. It's the Chinese. Right? Isn't that what's going to happen? I think so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here's what he had to say at a Harvard commencement speech about AI. Check this out. Cursing.
AI. Fuck AI. Fuck AI. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Have you tried using it? Look, a lot of other respected graduation speakers in colleges around America are talking about you guys needing to master AI for the future. Okay? I'm here to tell you the mission of your generation is to destroy AI. Kill it. AI is just going to end up making mediocre people dumber. Have you heard how dumb people brag about how they use AI? They're always like, hey, did you know that AI can now read my email, summarize it, and draft a response? Yeah, you know who else can do that? Me. I can do that. You can't do that? How useless are you? You need artificial intelligence just to match me? I'm a dumbass who couldn't get into Harvard. Untalented people love bragging about using AI to help them draft their speeches and their scripts and their podcasts and their promo videos for UFC fights at the White House. Which, to be fair, even if they had filmed that for real, it would still have looked like AI. But what they're missing is this. The creating is the fun part. And I know this platitude is almost worthy of AI, but the reason shortcuts to skip to the end aren't always good is because the journey isn't just how we acquire skills. The journey is the point of all this. It is.
I love that.
I love him. His comedy is like
is he a comedian?
He roasts yeah, he's a comedian. He roasts people for being idiots. He went to it says that he went to the University of Melbourne in Australia. He lived at Trinity College and graduated in 2010. He's got a bachelor's of commerce, a bachelor of law, and he has a graduate diploma in legal practice from Australia National University. So he's a very educated guy. Extremely bright. Yeah.
I thought he was funny, and I agree with him 100%. I think AI is this is why the AI data centers that we keep telling we need more and more AI, more and AI. I don't even want more AI. That's the whole point. I don't want it. If you took it away from me tomorrow, it wouldn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, we don't need no AI data center is needed to stream, just so everyone knows. We don't need an AI hyperscale data center to stream the show. It only takes the current regular data centers to stream the show. We don't need one.
Well, it's making people stupid. It's going to make people stupid. You can see where it's heading. You can see college kids using AI for their homework. You can kind of see where the world is heading. We're getting dumber and dumber because we're turning over our collective consciousness to an algorithm in AI. And I just think I can't believe more people aren't concerned about it. They're not. They love it. They think it's going to be good. It's going to be a new generation. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be AI.
Hey, you see this could summarize my emails and draft me a response? That was so funny. He's like, you know who else can do that? Me.
AI gets everything wrong when it comes to politics, Isaiah.
Yeah.
Look up. Do you have AI in front of you?
Let's pull it up. I can
pull up the Robb Carter show and see what it says. I have not looked it up, but it was wrong every time. I worked at Real Talk Radio for almost 18 months, and every time I looked it up, I would change it and say, no, I'm Robb Carter. I work at Real Talk Radio.
No, I am Robb Carter.
And it said I worked at News Talk, and I had a weekend show.
That's great.
This was over and over. This was changed and changed. It would have you could look it up every week, and it would have a different story behind what the Robb Carter show was. Let's see what it's got now.
Let's see. Let's rate it. It's actually, I think it fixed the. This is Grok, so I guess we
Grok. Let's try Grok. What's it say?
We'll have to see.
What is the Robb Carter show?
I said, tell me about the Robb Carter show.
What's it say?
Daily independent conservative talk show and podcast hosted by Robb Carter, a St. Louis native and a former corporate executive, primarily in the shoe and branded consumer goods industry with over 30 years of experience. It airs live Monday through Friday starting around 9 a.m. Central Time, often running several hours. That's true. Focusing on fast-paced, unscripted, no-holds-barred commentary. Topics commonly include politics, government, corruption, media bias. This is getting it pretty spot on right here. Small business issues, Missouri state politics, American first priorities, critiques of institutional power, APAC Zionism. Hey, I'm glad I put it out there. Presented as an alternative to corporate media. It fixed itself.
What's it say about the background?
Oh, let's see. Politically active after COVID lockdowns impacted his livelihood. Wow. He opposed mandates and government overreach affecting small businesses. At his son's urging, he started a podcast in traction, but it was later deplatformed. He then returned to radio, a longtime interest, and expanded into current multi-platform show. He is associated with the People's Lobby.
Wow.
A grassroots group advocating constitutional principles, government accountability, hand-counted paper ballots, election integrity measures, and related reforms. He also appeared as an MC at local Republican events. This is getting it.
It's got your name on here. Doesn't it have your name
on
on
here? Producer, collaborator, it helps with live broadcast. That's crazy.
That is kind of amazing. I must admit,
I think it's because of the website.
Is that why? Is that what it is?
Yeah. The website has helped out a lot.
Okay.
Also, his friend Bill is a stud. It's missing this part too. Yeah, you're right, Bill.
Put that in there. Put his friend Bill is a stud. Pop that in there real fast. All right, last one. I promise I got one more. You got time for it?
Just right around the corner, Rob. Everything's right around the corner.
Everything's right around the corner. I just want to get this in there because you know this Mark Maxwell guy? He might be on Channel 5 in St. Louis.
Yes.
But he came out and he
guess who he was hanging out with where I saw him.
Who?
He's drinking beers with the mayor of St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
I think he's got Democrat leanings, and that is why I wanted to play this because everybody keeps saying if you disagree with amendments A4 and A5, which I'm against A4. I can understand the A4 argument. I can. If you're saying that out-of-state money is going to come in and wreck the state, I'd see where people are coming from. I'm just saying.
I don't think we're against either premise for
it's
A4
just the
or
way
A5.
they're going about it. That's all.
Yeah.
Everything is about how they're implementing it, not what they're implementing, but how they're implementing it. I don't like it. But Mark Maxwell comes out and he gives his commentary now. He is the one that hosted the debate between Bill Eigel, Jason Law, and Steve Ellman for county executive in St. Charles County. And I think last time they had a gubernatorial debate, he was one of the, so he's respected, and Republicans must like him because Republicans are allowing him to be their host, right? So they must like him at some level. Well, he comes out against Amendments 4 and Amendments 5, but listen to what he says because he sounds like our group. So I guess if you're some of these Republicans, you say, well, see, they're teaming up with the Democrats. Maybe this is where they're getting it from because we have the same opinion on why we're against A4 and A5. Clip number 10, this is local media personality, news reporter Mark Maxwell on amendments A4 and A5 in Missouri. Check this out.
Been watching this station for 50 years. And this week he wrote in to say he can't tell who wins and who loses on amendments 4 and 5 because he feels the commercials don't give it to him straight. Jim writes in to say, could you please have more plainly worded descriptions of who the winners and losers are? He tells us, I watch the commercials and don't know who or what to believe. I'm so pessimistic now, thinking that the bad side will spin the wording to get people to vote for it. Well, Jim, pro tip. When nobody's really telling you who's winning, it's generally not you. So let's check the record. Amendment 4, they say it protects the Constitution. But from whom? From you. Right now, a majority of Missourians can amend their own constitution. That's called self-government. Amendment 4 ends that. Under the new rules, voters in a small corner of the state could override the majority everywhere else. They don't trust you with your own constitution. So if you like being the boss of your own constitution, that's an argument for voting no. If you'd rather ask permission, maybe you'd lean yes. At least now you know exactly what you're voting on, which apparently is more than the advertisers managed. Amendment 5 works the oldest trick in the tax man's book. Put the cut where you'll see it and the hike where you won't. Here's the cut. A married one-earning household making Missouri's median income about $70,000 pays about $1,650 a year in state income tax, assuming the standard deduction. We'll call it $32 a week. That same household that makes $150K, about $5,400 a year or $104 a week. Notice the family making twice as much saves more than 3 times as much if you slash the income tax. And nobody saves it on August 5th, the day after the primary. This is a phase out. Could take up to 10 years, tied to revenue triggers in the state budget. Then, or maybe well before then, would come the higher sales, use, and property taxes right back out of your check, nickel by nickel, at the register, where nobody keeps a running tally. Unless you keep all those receipts and just add it up yourself on the drive home. So, if you spend most of your check just staying alive, paycheck to paycheck, you're probably a lot more likely to carry more of this tax burden than the guy who has a lot more disposable income. Now, supporters make a macroeconomic growth argument. Let people keep more up front and the whole tax pie grows. Maybe, but that bet requires trusting Jefferson City not to get creative about taking it back out at the checkout line. Amendment 4 is Jefferson City saying it doesn't trust voters with the Constitution, and Amendment 5 is Jefferson City asking you to trust them with your checkbook. You can decide just how that trust is running lately. And Jim, stay skeptical. Maybe not pessimistic. It's working for you. Just aim it at the fine print, not at the whole system. That's our show. Until next time, we're off the record.
You got to give a guy credit that it was really good.
Yep.
But it's exactly where we're coming from. I said, people say, Rob, what are you going to do? Because I get asked now a lot what I think of A4 and A5. I said, listen, A5 is the easy one for me because I don't think the trust has been earned to put forth the framework that I don't understand yet. Right? If you don't lay out the framework in advance and tell me this industry is going to be taxed, this one isn't. If you don't lay it all out for me and let me decide on that, and then you want me to throw over taxation to the state of Missouri and let them figure it out under the premise that it's going to be substantially equal, I don't trust it. I just don't trust it.
Especially right after you shove a gas tax down our throat.
That's right where I was going. Because he said you got to keep all your receipts. Remember, this is how you get your gas tax money back. You send in the receipts. Well, this would be the same thing here. everything that you buy. Now you'd have to check out your receipts to find out how much money you're spending on the taxes, and you don't even know what's going to be taxed. It could be little tiny taxes. It could be big. You just don't know. You don't know what they're going to do. And I think what he really laid out there, and this is what Mike Compton really brought my attention to, it could be 4 years of double taxation for all you know.
Mhm.
You just don't know how it's going to play out. They could say, okay, we're going to tax these services, and we're going to tax these for the next 4 years, and then at the end of the 4 years, say, now we got to change it. We got to massage it this way. We got to do this. We got to do that, and you just don't know how that's going to play out because they didn't lay it out for you. So for that,
Yeah, what happens if they don't reach the thresholds?
That's what I'm saying.
Then they don't phase out income tax.
It's complicated where it doesn't need to be complicated, and it's usually complicated because the devil, as they like to say, Isaiah, is in the details. Okay, tomorrow, one of the things I want to talk about, Isaiah, I'm just going to prep it here for a minute. Did you see the video of Lindsey Graham? Did you see that Lindsey Graham where he's talking about Donald Trump loves to bomb things, loves to blow up things?
Yeah, Donald Trump's favorite senator.
Yeah, kind of a little bit disturbing, just a little bit.
Just a lot.
and my buddy Bill might know a little bit more about this. Bill, if you're still listening, he is still listening. So one of the people that I watch calls Lindsey Graham a power bottom. Right now, you know what I didn't know what that meant at the time. I'd heard of it. And I'm like, is that what I think it means? And it's a gay term for
he's on the receiving end.
He's on the receiving end. And the power bottom means that although they're on the receiving end, the feminine side of, what we're talking about, if you want to let your minds go there for a second, you're on the feminine end, you're in a position of power. Power bottom. Go back to what Kay Griggs said and really start to think about this when you, should we just play this video? You want to save it for tomorrow?
We can play it.
You want to play it? Okay, let's do it. So this is,
does this play the whole clip or is it just part of the clip?
It's a portion of the clip to get the idea.
Yeah, we can find the whole clip maybe and play it tomorrow because it looks like this is like a creator talking about the clip, right?
Yep. It's clip number 11. And listen to what Lindsey Graham says about Donald Trump. This is when he was alive. And the argument that is being made about these groomed gay men that get into positions of power, meaning they're compromised, they're brainwashed, they're something. Listen, I'm just telling you the information that Kay Griggs gave out 30 years ago, and you watch it happen in your government. You start to go, wait a minute, Tom Cotton's in a position of power. I long since determined that he might be on the little bit of the soft side.
Hunter Biden just said it, the closetocracy.
Yeah, Hunter Biden just talked about it, and it seems to be true. Mike Johnson, he mentioned. Lindsey Graham, he mentioned. Tom Cotton, he mentioned. Who else did he mention?
Josh
Hawley, he mentioned. These are people that are in real positions of power, and they get a lot of Fox News time, if you haven't noticed. And he called them power bottoms. And what he meant by that was they are the female in a gay relationship. There's a man and there's somebody who's pretending to be the woman, if you understand the biology of it all. They're the one on the, as you called it. I don't want to get too graphic, and I don't want to make this funny because this is serious. They are on the receiving end, if you understand what we're saying. And he calls them a power bottom. And what it simply means these are feminine men who are in positions of power and they like war. That makes sense? They're feminine in their sexual lives, but they're powerful in their private lives, and they act out on that power because they are in positions of power, and they've probably been picked on at certain portions of their life, or they're not happy with the situation because people have, especially if they're older, they've been ridiculed a lot. Okay, that's the premise. Now listen to what Lindsey Graham has to say about Donald Trump, and just listen to how bizarre it is. He goes, he likes to blow things up, and he does it with a smile on his face, and I just think it's very strange. Check it out.
Video has been released showing Lindsey Graham celebrating our war with Iran.
They has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. Amazingly, they're hitting countries that
Look what we've done here. I almost cried.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have we been pushing this?
Well, you've been pushing this for years, right?
Right. It's here. I talked to Trump this morning.
It's literally...
Oh, he's jacked.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I've ever done. He loves blowing stuff up. So, there are a lot of people inside didn't want to do it. So I've had my challenges. But President Trump, when he gets into the zone, he listens, he asks good questions, no tweeting. He has done he hadn't tweeted much at all, no drama. He's been a great wartime president. I said last night that Trump and Bibi are like Roosevelt and Churchill.
Jeez.
What do you think?
He loves blowing stuff up.
It's very odd, right?
Yeah.
He loves blowing stuff up. Very strange thing to say for a grown person when you're talking about the people underneath the blowing stuff up or dying.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyway. I just think it's very telling as to what Lindsey Graham was all about and one of the reasons we didn't like him. All right. Moe's Pizza, Isaiah. Then we'll move on about our day. When it's time for lunch and you're in Franklin County or Washington, Missouri, you must go to Moe's Pizza. Delicious pizza and salad bar, sandwiches, burgers, chicken wings, ice cream. They'll take care of you. Moe's Pizza, a landmark in Washington, Missouri at the corner of Grand and 5th Street. Every time I bring it up, he says, Rob, remind him, God owns the place. I just work here. I think their business is in pretty good shape. When we were there, it was absolutely popping. I could not like, Isaiah were standing out in front of the location in Washington, Missouri, interviewing people. And the parking lot was completely packed at about 5 o'clock during lunchtime. It was incredible. Moe's Pizza, for if you have any kind of gatherings, remember, Mike and Brenda Johns, locally owned and operated, birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, and Bible studies. Any kind of gathering out in Washington, Missouri, check out Moe's Pizza. They'll take care of you, family environment, and just big, proud supporters of anything politics. They want to get to the bottom of it because they are citizens of the state of Missouri, and they want to make sure that we hear everything, that we're respectful when we do it, and that we have great conversations. And he often gives that place out for political meetings and Bible studies and the like because they're just great patriots. Moe's Pizza, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. When it's time for lunch, get there. Isaiah, anything else today?
No, just a little teaser. Mike and Brenda asked us when we're going to do our next live show there, so we'll try to get that figured out too. Just I know they want us to do another live show. I want to get some stuff figured out with their tech guy so we can have just a little bit better experience for people in the room. We weren't able to get the microphone issue solved before the last show. And so I think we'll be able to solve that though for the next one, just with a little more time of heads up, right? This was something that I think you had planned before you went off the radio, and we were still trying to make it happen because of all the planning that had gone into it already.
Yeah.
And this
That's
time
a lot of work. We had to get
it's
equipment there, set it all up, make sure they had their sound team and everything organized. It was I was a little nervous because I didn't want that to go wrong.
A little more than just coming into our studios and
it's not easy
turning it on, right?
Not easy. What else was I going to ask you? We made it to the number on YouTube. What do we do from there before I forget?
Yep. So I got your email. I just need to have Tom look at it, or because he might have more time than me, but him and I just need to look at it I think we got to sign up for like a 2-factor authentication process to secure the account so that we can sign up for the YouTube partner program. And that's how we'll be able to start offering memberships. And that's why I really did want to try to find those podcasts, because we can launch those on our YouTube channel, but we can make it to where only members can watch it. And then it's just kind of like something that is, if you become a member, then you'll get access to those things. And there will be other stuff that we create and put out that will be members only as well. And something that I think I like that a lot of creators do is that they don't always make their content members only forever. They might make it members only for a period of time, right? And then they let the public access to it. That way they can maybe make a little bit of money off of it. That's what they did, for example, with this Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes interview that just went out over the weekend, right? As for a period of time, it was, you had to pay for it. And then there was a time where it went live just on the internet and anyone could watch it. So we're just getting into this area now where we can actually start making money off the social media platforms. We weren't able to do that for quite a long time besides Rumble. And so these are just different things that Rob and I have been talking about of ways to get more content out to you guys, different content that's outside of the show.
Well, there's so many things we can do that people don't recognize, because right now we're doing a radio / talk show, interview show, that kind of thing. But we want to get out into the world.
Maybe we'll make our interviews, for example, when we're out on the street, maybe we'll make those something that the members can have access to.
First, get into the capitals, not just the Missouri's capital, but other capitals. Get into some of these businesses that profit off of doing business with the states. Get out to Washington, D.C. and have conversations. Get into, because when you want to do big time interviews, it's really just a network of people. I may go to New York on September the 10th because they have a big meeting out there with some major influencers on September 10th. It's really just about connecting to these people. Once they know what you're about, once they recognize that you have a little bit of talent, that you can keep an audience for a bit, then all of a sudden they start to pay attention to you. And I'm one Tucker Carlson interview from having 1,000 times more viewers because people now start. There's just it's the nature of the beast, right? You don't really get credibility until somebody of credibility recognizes you. That's kind of how this whole media operation works. And we're this close to it after 90 days. It didn't take us long. We're about 90 days into it. We're already we're right there. We're right there. But it does take money. I got to travel. I mean, if Isaiah and I travel to New York, you're a couple $1,000. I mean, how often can you do that before you go, you got to raise money in order to do it. So we're close. We will get there. We're going to knock it out here very quickly. We got to get to New York City, and then we got to have our meeting with People's Lobby Missouri and the Robb Carter Show, because I want to update people as to what we're doing. And I'm going to kind of keep that private for people that show up, but we'll explain to you what the process is and how we're going to get from A to Z, because we have every intentions on getting there. I'm not waking up every day with this being the be all end all. We have a big opportunity in social media to get things done that we could only have dreamed of 25 years ago. So there are things that we can do. We plan on doing them. It's going to take a lot of hustle, a lot of energy, and a lot of resources. But Isaiah, you got to make it happen. You got to make things happen. We will make it happen. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Robb Carter Show. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.